Hello and welcome to Good Brews, Bad Views, the podcast that asks if great beer makes bad movies any better. I am your host, unburdened by Christian guilt, one Max Nestorowicz, and as always, joined by my legal partners in Thorpe's Everard and Nestorowicz, one James Thorpe.
Hello.
And one Ryan Everard.
Hello.
And how are you guys doing this fine, well, not fine evening, it is quite terrible outside.
Oh, yeah, it's muggy and gross. It is just you walk outside and you just feel gray.
It feels like this movie we're about to watch today.
Oh, my God, please.
So today we are watching Daredevil, not the well-beloved Netflix TV series, the 2003 Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner and Colin Farrell starring Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
How this podcast is going to work is we're going to watch a movie, Daredevil. We're going to drink some good beer alongside of it, yay, and we are going to crack wise, make some observations, and just have some discussions about this movie and maybe learn a thing or two and talk about, for this week, the general state of superhero movies as we've been subjected to these movies for quite some time. Brian, why don't you tell the folks at home where they can watch this movie, as the podcast is designed to be watched alongside the movie. However, if you can't do that, we'll kind of narrate alongside and maybe you can follow along.
It's dark.
It's so dark.
Okay.
The scene is dark. This other scene, also dark.
Yeah.
Okay, so if anyone is watching along at home, we are watching this via Amazon today. The 20th Century Fox logo has just begun to vanish into the frame, and the musical fanfare has just finished. And on the Amazon stream, that's 21 seconds in. So if anyone is suffering along with us, press play now.
As we begin today's episode, let us take you back to a dark time, 2003. There had only been 4 major Marvel releases before this. Blade, X-Men, Blade 2, and Spider-Man 1 of Sam Raimi.
Those are all so much better than this, too.
Exactly, yeah. 2003 was a big year for superhero movies. Fun little fact, here we have the now classic Marvel opening. This is the first time you have like the little sound effects of the pages flipping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 2003, also the year that the first Hulk movie, a.k.a. Sad Hulk.
The Sulk.
Or, yeah, the Ang Lee Hulk movie came out. Also coming out this year is X-Men 2. Very good film.
Yes.
And the movie that literally killed Sean Connery's acting career, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No.
Yeah.
That's a bad movie, you guys.
Yes, it is.
This looks like Simcopter.
It does. I do like the Braille to like actor's name little thing.
Yes.
That's a fun little little
very
effect.
cool.
Yeah. But these opening credits here could easily be like a Batman. This non-Batman movie is so Batman it hurts. Even the color palette here is like straight out of like a terrible DC movie.
This is also bright for the rest of the movie, folks. So
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So I was watching this the other day, and I'm sitting down here in my basement, and I started the movie. I was like, wow, this is really fucking dark. I must have screwed up my brightness on my TV. So I started crawling through the menu settings. I was like, no, it's just where it normally is. That's how the movie looks. So I cranked it up way, way high, and then it just looked terrible in other spots. So I don't know. It's just a very, very dark movie.
Yeah. But even like some of the CGI effects in this are painfully like early Marvel, early 2000s, very X-Men 2 opening credits. We have the classic Daredevil logo. This could be a Gotham City, opening panel. Yep.
ready for the CGI rat?
Yep.
CGI
Couldn't get that rat to go where it was.
CGI
Hey,
rat.
CGI. The CGI rat looks okay.
It does. It actually looks pretty good. Spoilers for folks listening at home. This is probably the best CG in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walking through some puddles, getting scared by stinky New York sewer gas.
Sewer steam.
Sewer steam. We have that too here in Detroit.
Joe Pantoliano. Was he in The Matrix?
Hey, John
feel like
Favreau.
I'm going to look him up.
The savior is in this movie.
Yes. Really the progenitor, I guess.
Yeah.
This is an interesting narrative choice, how this movie is done.
To
kind of circle back to this later.
Yeah. To go from literally from like late Act 3 to early on. So
yeah. That's a cool shot right there, actually, with the blood dripping down the
The
Stained
Mary.
Glass.
Yep.
The Mary Stained Glass. Yeah.
Hey,
That's
Graham Revel. Good soundtrack.
Yeah, so once we came off the rat, the camera has just been ascending continually up a very ornate church. And we're getting some very quick cuts of other shit in the movie that we don't know what they are yet.
It's like that trailer for La Femme Nikita where they had the entire movie in like a minute or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They just sped it up.
Yep.
He kicked Spawn off of the cross and took over.
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you see that Seth MacFarlane, or not Seth MacFarlane,
Todd McFarlane.
Todd
Right.
McFarlane put something out today about his Spawn movie, how it's going to be, quote, joyless.
Oh,
Which is exactly the kind of quantifier I want to see before you're going and seeing a movie.
well,
at
I mean,
least
it's
he's
Spawn.
saying it.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it, but like, just no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we've talked about that. A movie that's just brutal for 3 hours is not fun.
It's
No.
Well, it's not supposed to be though, right? But it's the appeal is tough to create, I guess.
I mean, I don't see why they're making another Spawn movie when they had that very good HBO TV series.
Is that the animated one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good 2 seasons of good animation and bleakness.
So as I started watching this, I was kind of surprised actually. I'm gonna be honest. I like how this movie opens. It kind of faked
It
me
just
out.
throws you in there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
It had a good feel up through like the bar fight for me, and I was thinking to myself, man, maybe I just was way more harsh on this movie than I needed to be. And then it shits the bed, and
Yep.
not only does it shit the bed, it rolls around in it.
There we have Ben Affleck.
Who, you know what? The
Sometimes
they
has contacts in, sometimes doesn't.
yeah, did they CGI his eyes?
No, he's
Or-
wearing contact lenses, and he's nearly blind because of them.
Because he does.
Maybe some of that effect was, but
Yeah, because his facial expressions and the way he's looking around oftentimes are very convincing.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, apparently he was wearing, some like contacts that made him nearly blind, just to kind of get that effect.
yeah.
'Cause it's 2003, the CGI isn't that great yet,
No.
so
But so that, I mean, I don't want to do this for the whole thing, but it's really interesting to have watched the Netflix series, and the way that they handle Matt Murdock being blind in that is by effectively just keeping glasses on him the entire time.
yeah.
Where in this one they make a very clear choice to not do that.
Yeah. Well, you haven't watched season 3 of that show yet, have you?
No.
So there's a lot of Charlie Cox without glasses on in
Right.
season 3, but he's just so good at acting blind that you don't really focus on it that much.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was thinking about this as far as Charlie Cox versus Ben Affleck. Charlie Cox, at least his eyes are moving around a lot, and they're not focusing on anything. And to me, and I quite honestly don't know any blind people, but that seems a lot more believable than Ben Affleck's just stoic,
His just
stationary
like staring off into the
pupils the whole
distance thing.
time. And that's not necessarily a dig against him. I don't know what his direction was,
Yeah.
but
So here we have young Matt Murdock taking his dad, Jack Murdock, to bed, who apparently drinks Heineken, which, thinking back to the early aughts, like, Heineken was a pretty popular beer. Like, I remember my parents started having that in the fridge a lot back in those days.
I like his dad's character in this.
He
Yeah.
looks like a
He's
Josh
acted well.
Brolin stunt double.
He's big. He's beefy.
He's a
what-
boxer.
Yeah, I mean, he's what you
Yeah.
expect him to be.
You know-
So, the thing that you just said, Ryan, there's actually my sister-in-laws are very vision impaired,
okay.
but they have a specific kind that causes their eyes to shift around.
Okay.
And there are other blindnesses that cause their more Ben Affleck style. In this too.
Right,
So-
right.
No, and I think that's an interesting choice to pick between one to show what your character's like in this, right? I mean, because he can see, but not through his supernatural abilities, right? He
Yeah.
can see through so choosing to show how he is blind from a vision standpoint, I think speaks a lot to the kind of vision you're trying to create. Like this is, we'll get into it later. Like this version requires a lot more stuff going on around him. Like he's affected by other noises and everything else. So I think that's an interesting choice that they made in this. Oh, and he sees his dad beating up some,
Shaking down some guy in an alley.
Yeah, so I watched the director's cut of this movie, which came out several years after this because this movie had got a pretty bad rap. So there's a lot of extended dialogue scenes and stuff. So you find out in that scene where he's laying him down, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm working triple shifts down at the docks or whatever." So he goes to like see his dad at work, and the foreman's like, "Your dad hasn't worked here for months or whatever." And then, and it's like, yeah. So there's a lot of just there's a lot of differences, and here we have this reminds me a lot of when Peter Parker gets bit by the spider.
Yeah.
Right.
In the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. Yeah, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, a lot of the looks from the X-Men movies, like the opening credits and that have like all the zappy goos and stuff, right?
Going through jeans and stuff.
The obligatory microscopic view of, bloods.
Yep.
This is really cool.
They never really touch upon this in the TV show.
No.
Which I think is a real. There's like one episode where people fuck with Matt's senses when he's fighting the first ninja.
Yeah.
But there's never like him being overwhelmed by his abilities, which I think I kind of would have liked more of.
This is great. I really, really, really like this whole scene where he
Yeah.
is trying to get.
He's in the hospital bed.
He doesn't realize what's happening.
Yeah,
to him,
like
and
he
he's
can
being
see, but he
overwhelmed by it.
can't see.
And so this is where they're showing his senses are all based around what he's able to hear right now. So they're. I mean, this is good foreshadowing as to what will affect him later on in the movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this kid acts the scene out great.
Yeah.
He's frantic.
He's panicking.
Yep.
It's believable.
Based off how red his cheeks are, I assume they put those like the gauze and the cotton balls over his eyes, and they're just slapping him in the face, and he's just reacting to it. He's like, "Oh, I don't know where it's coming from." Also, fun game at home. Whenever you see a crucifix in this movie, take a drink.
Bing bong.
So, speaking of drinks, we are drinking Founders CBS, Canadian Breakfast Stout today.
Oh, yeah.
The 2018 version.
2018 version, which means that there's no Mountie on the bottle because the RCMP was like, please stop using our trademark image on your alcoholic product. And Founders was like, okay. So Founders ties in with Daredevil, not the movie, the TV show, as in Season 3, there's a scene where Matt Murdock, previously assumed to be dead, shows up at Josie's bar to see Foggy, and as they pan over the bar, there's a tap handle for All Day IPA, one of Founders' best-selling beers, which the fact that, a little, quote-unquote little, now huge brewery in Michigan was on a Netflix TV series, not directly, but, visually, where they could have just had, random generic-y bar tabs, was kind of cool. So we shouted out to them on Twitter, and they sent us a nice little care package in the mail.
Yeah, thanks.
Some pint glasses and some hats and like one of those metal signs. So thanks, Founders.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah,
You didn't need to do
awesome.
that, but that was very cool.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yep.
This is a great scene here. It's a montage scene of Matt and his dad kind of coming back from
Bonding
their
over
depths,
blindness.
Right?
Yep.
So the only thing in this scene that bothers me is that Ben Affleck's like hard-boiled narration he tries to do sounds like Adam Sandler doing a Ben Affleck voice doing hard-boiled narration. Like it is terrible.
It's not great.
So they always talk about, Matt Murdock's, like, his hearing's really good, and his smell's really good, and his sense of touch allows him to do flips and shit like that. They never talk about his sense of taste. Like, Matt Murdock could have become, like, the world's best, like, sommelier or, beer judge or food critic based off of his enhanced senses. But,
So this is one of the first instances of the movie doing something too much. This is too much. Why is this 4,000 feet long, this pipe here? Make him do it for 4 feet. It's the same thing. Gets the same point across.
Because it's a good lead-in to, like, the super ridiculous shit he does later. And, hey, look, it's a Stan Lee cameo.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, Stan, we miss you.
Yep.
We do miss you, Stan. So, Murdoch's bullies are back.
Yes, we're going to beat up the blind kid.
The subtle scars around his eyes as a kid right here
Yeah, and he's still got them when he's older.
Yeah. But they're a little...
They're not as pronounced, though.
I think. So, I mean, that's just subtle movie. Like, I don't know. It's good.
Good detail.
Yeah.
So, I get he hears well and stuff, but who taught Murdoch kung fu all of a sudden?
He's been teaching himself on the on the
flash kick.
Yeah. Teaching himself on the quick bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Imagine he would be a good fencer.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Well, that's the
Jack.
first scene you have of Matt Murdock being a little shit, because he really is when he's an adult.
right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Here's
it's
the
Hector
mob.
Salamanca.
Right.
Ding 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 ding.
So we're just learning that the Murdoch Senior here,
Battling Jack,
the devil,
the Devil Jack in this.
he hasn't been winning on all of his own skill alone. That everyone's been falling for him.
Were those names too?
Yes, those were all. There's so
Daredevil.
many like Marvel creator shout outs in this.
Okay, I was gonna say
Miller, Mack, and Bendis.
Yeah.
Those are all, famous Daredevil writers. Frank Miller. Mack, I don't know, but I think Bendis is supposed to be Bendis. I think the Brian Michael Bendis. The subtitle is wrong. Frank Miller does make a cameo in this later.
Oh, does he?
Yep.
In your version, maybe.
No, he's the person Bullseye later kills and steals his
okay.
bike.
So,
Yep, go ahead.
Murdoch Senior just got knocked to the mat, but he got back up.
So how you guys liking the CBS?
It's very good.
I like this. Like to say last year's was decent, but I couldn't have drank a lot of it.
We were only able to find like free samples of it.
Yeah.
I think this is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is a step or two above last year's.
Yeah.
It feels like the sweetness has been brought under control a little bit to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that could be effective them scaling up production, because I'll tell you about this. So right when this came out, end of November, I think it was, I found this at a Meijer. It was like one of the last bottles. And then I went back like a month later, like right around Christmas time, looking for last minute presents, doing some grocery shopping, and they had an entire like little section of like a 4x5 deep thing, and I was like, holy crap, just kind of sitting there. And then I've seen reports of people finding 12-ounce bottles of it. It's like in like the Philippines and other continents just around the world, like Arizona having a whole little display of it,
Really?
some liquor store and whatnot. So it's become widely available, and I saw random bombers of CBS around the holidays as well, or excuse me, KBS, the Kentucky Breakfast Stout, which this is a variant of. So this beer's become like widely available now, and I think that's great.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. It deserves it. They're good. CBS and KBS are very good.
To cut back to the movie here, we're watching Murdoch's father get beaten to death by some goons, and then
A
the first
big
little
goon.
hint of what might be more than something else. The
Right.
car creaks up, and
Yep.
a very large man gets out, punches him once,
Right.
and puts down a rose.
He gets killed
On
by
the
One
body.
Punch Man,
Yeah.
and then Waluigi leaves a rose on his body.
So, oh god.
I was gonna talk about the beer real quick, Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah. So the for this specifically, the sweetness last year was what was overwhelming for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoy this that it's cut. It is sweeter than KBS, which I like a whole lot. And I don't like KBS a whole lot. I like this a whole lot. I actually am not a big KBS fan.
Agreed.
This is the right balance that I like with a very strongly aged stout.
Yeah, I do prefer this to KBS as well.
Same. It's unanimous. I wanted to ask you guys something. So before Murdoch Sr. just got murdered in the alley,
Mm-hmm.
if you know the mob is going to try to kill you right here, why do you exit into the alley? Is it so that you protect your son? Why did he do that?
It's a less obvious exit of the building, as
Well-
opposed if you went out the front. You assume there's people watching the front, so you cut out the side.
Yeah.
But, it's
But then
public,
people
though.
know that you're going to cut out the side. Oh, dramatic Mary again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piercing blue eyes.
A weird cut,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
a weird cut to that. To him being in his deprivation tank.
This whole idea doesn't sit well
This
with
looks
me.
like a Batman Returns shot.
It
Yes.
does.
This is a very interesting idea, the fact that like he still has to like, sleep in an isolation chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just makes him like just so like secluded because, like in the Netflix one, Matt Murdock has a very sparse but modern-y apartment, and now he has a much more isolated like kind of living
Lair?
space. Yeah.
Some seether for you right now.
Yeah.
So,
This is an interesting little concept.
Yeah,
as far
this
as
is
if
cool,
you were blind,
actually.
how would you go around with money, or
right.
how would you live your life?
This movie hasn't lost me yet. I hate Affleck's haircut in this fucking movie. It's real bad.
It's 2003.
Oh, it's so bad though. But the deprivation chamber, just quick physics interjection, seems like totally counterproductive, right? If you don't want to hear shit, you don't encase yourself in metal
water.
and water.
Because the sloshing.
Yeah, the transmit sounds so much better than regular thin air.
You put yourself in one of the those wet chambers. The ones that are so quiet that people can hear
Those
their heartbeat.
acoustic anechoic chambers.
The
Yeah.
acoustic rooms.
Yeah.
What'd you say? The echoic chambers?
The acoustic anechoic chamber.
Anechoic. Thank you.
Is that the one where they test electronic components in?
If they're testing electronic components, it's going to be an electromagnetically anechoic chamber.
Oh, okay.
Anechoic just means without reflection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The somebody made one that is so quiet you can hear the blood.
Yep.
Yeah,
through
it's
your
supposed to
veins.
make you very uncomfortable too.
Yeah. Most people can only. That's in my Atlas Obscura thing of like
Yeah.
places you can go and visit. Like most people can only last like a couple of minutes on it because like you start getting like auditory hallucinations.
Yeah.
After a while.
Yeah. I think the longest person someone's been there is like 15 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got a courtroom scene here where Matt Murdock is grilling a witness.
Apparently in the world's cheapest courtroom.
Yup. But we're showing how Matt can tell whether or not someone is lying by kind of monitoring their vitals, their blood
Yeah.
flow and stuff.
And here's our first appearance of one John Farvo.
Yep. As Foggy Nelson.
Who I don't mind as Foggy Nelson, actually.
The only part
No.
that bothers me is how much older he clearly is than Ben, but
Yeah.
he plays it well.
Yeah. They don't have the time to establish the character that well that they can, that they were, classmates.
Right.
Yeah.
Jose Quesada, now to Joe Quesada, editor at Marvel.
Oh no!
This
So
cut.
this cut right, they zoom in on his face.
Oh.
So they apparently spent like 7 or 8 months trying to develop this costume, which it looks fine.
I actually
But-
do like it.
Yeah, the
Um,
costume looks.
I think it
costume
looks
looks
good.
The
The
costume's not bad.
The leather's a little dark, but that might just be the lighting. The one thing I have against is they put like the DD like logo on him, which he's blind. Why would they put a DD logo on a blind man?
Yeah.
Here we
It's
have
not for
Daredevil
him.
being very Batman.
The costume, I would say, Max, it's dark not because of I think it's because of it's 2003.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, remember we were talking about X-Men, right? They refused to put the X-Men in the yellow costumes.
Right.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
So
So
again, here you like, it might just be me being used, or all of us being used to the Netflix series of Matt Murdock just being like a regular dude who can do some good acrobatics. But here
Right.
we clearly have Ben Affleck's Daredevil like doing some crazy ass flips and shit,
right, some insane acrobatics on the rooftops.
like some Spider-Man level stuff.
Yeah, those drops are
Crazy, like he
Yeah.
beat liquid bones.
Yes. I hope you like to see what your shins look like.
Because here they are.
Yep.
Goomba. Is that a thing people say? I don't
There
know.
is
No.
honor in jumping
No one
on
says
Goombas.
Goomba.
There is no honor in hopping on Goombas, yes.
Just 100 points.
That is a
Deep
almost
cut.
2
That's
decade,
The Rock's cousin.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I could see that. That's funny.
That is almost a 2 decades deep cut of PSN magazine.
Jeez. Was that Shu and Shan? Is that what that was?
Yeah, I think so.
Good lord. This fight scene is actually choreographed really well. I liked this fight scene. This is where I was starting to think maybe this was better than I thought it was.
That was cool.
Yeah.
There is some cool fight choreography in this of him kicking stuff into the lights.
The thing that I would like in this a little more is if the cuts were longer.
Yes.
And that's funny though, because later fight scenes the cuts are even shorter than this.
Yes. Yep. Because the choreograph when they allow it to go for 3 or 4 or 5 seconds,
Yeah.
it's really cool. It's really cool choreography.
Yeah.
All the stuff-
My problem
That
with
was
the
cool.
scene is the strobe light effect. It makes it a little hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that might be combined with the short cuts.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like the sound going in and out too. Actually, I like this fight scene overall.
Yep. Again, the blue Daredevil vision where he's hearing the sound waves
Yeah.
following around.
His echolocation when
Yeah.
he becomes Daredolphin.
Yeah,
Daredolphin.
I really like that effect in this movie.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's pretty darn interesting. There's some bad effects later
Like
on.
well, that was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
But there's
swirls onto the ceiling fan.
There's some bad Daredevil vision effects later. But when it's here, it's really cool.
Right.
I really like this. The rain effects are the ones I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah,
We'll see
that's
later.
what
Yeah.
I assumed.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, not fast enough. Oh, that's cool. Like that was a really cool scene.
Yep.
And again, we've talked about this outside the podcast in regards to BVS, James. That Ben Affleck, he's got a good frame for a superhero.
He's a big
Yeah,
guy.
he's just a big dude.
Ben Affleck is 6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got wide shoulders. Like,
Yep.
How do streets work?
Look, another rat falling into the water too.
That's cool. That was cool though.
That's
I
a good. That's
I
a,
like that shot.
But like so much of like that and just like the crook running from him down into the subway is so Batman.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a street level hero though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
And I saw
I was talking with a friend of mine about Daredevil being canceled, and she was like, initially I didn't really ever care about Daredevil because he was just kind of like a junior Batman. Or
Yeah.
poor Batman.
I saw a cut from a comic, and I cannot tell you which comic it was, but it was a Daredevil comic, where the image is like Daredevil swinging past someone's apartment window or something, and there's just a kid leaning out the window and being like, "Hey, Mom, there goes Red Batman."
yeah. Yep.
If that wasn't legitimate text from an actual comic, I apologize.
No, that is. I know the
yeah,
comic you're talking
it
about.
probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll get to it shortly. Also, going back to so a train's going by and Matt he can't deal with it. It's too loud. It's Matt's equivalent of looking into the sun, kind
Yep.
of.
Yep.
I wouldn't. The one problem I have is every fight there's some sort of it's loud. Like every fight in this movie, there's some sort of sensory overload thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way they go to that is that otherwise he's shown to be pretty much like invincible, right? I mean, they don't give him. He doesn't really get beat up until the last fight.
No.
That's a funny cut right there, actually. The slicing noise that cuts to the guy just kind of like dusting.
Yep.
So yeah, this guy here, he does play Cyrus from the first Matrix movie.
Oh yes,
The guy who rats out everyone else.
Yeah, I wanted him to be Stanley Tucci.
I
Dude.
would have wanted. He also could have been Paul Giamatti.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
Yep.
Also, what the fuck is up with this shitty character? I don't know how close this is to the comic,
Ben Urich.
but this is ridiculous.
Well, he's like a tabloid journalist, so I haven't read enough Daredevil or any Daredevil really, come to think of it. Other than I've read one Daredevil storyline. I think it was wrote by Bendis, where he fights someone named Echo who is deaf. Like Kingpin coordinates a deaf
Versus
Daredevil,
blind guy fight?
a deaf
Oh,
guy
wow.
versus the blind guy, and when they're not fighting, they're romantically entangled.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Here's the cheesy
Trailer moment, the
Tra-
trailer
yeah.
shot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a trailer shot.
In which the Daredevil becomes the Crow.
Yeah.
I
I
actually
like
have-
all the cops just kind of looking around.
Well, that's weird.
So
Yeah.
do you think he carries around a little squeeze bottle of gasoline, just being like,
Or maybe he's such an alcoholic that he just sweats flammable liquids.
Yeah,
just sweats whiskey?
Yeah. There we go.
Where's the sugar?
I mean, he's not. He's not like okay, this is cheesy with the locks.
I still think it's cool though. For me, I think that's still playing off his ability to hear and sense.
It's
still cheesy, but I like
taken to
it.
the extremes though.
Oh, we have such extremes to go to yet.
Yeah.
I do like that little touch.
Yeah,
He
as a-
touches Dad's boxing gloves.
Right.
So to your point, Max, for the suit being as dark red as it is, it would have been an interesting touch for him to have had boxing or had a suit that were the exact color of his dad's boxing gloves.
Yes.
Maybe they should have made the whole thing computer animated. That's a movie we've yet to touch. Dear Ryan Reynolds, do you want to be our guest for our Green Lantern episode of this podcast?
Oh my gosh. We should actually just be like, hey,
we
Ryan
can Skype him
Reynolds,
in.
Yeah.
we'll Skype you in. We'll get some beer from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, do it, man.
Yeah, you guys are Canadians. You could be pros.
Yeah.
Who the
Holy
fuck built all this stuff for Matt Murdock?
I don't know. This is incredibly expensive.
And where does a
Immigrant
lawyer...
laborers.
Yeah, who we find out later, who's been working for fish and basketballs.
Yeah.
How does he afford this?
That's a good question. And who builds them out like, yeah.
He has extra
He's,
nunchucks.
yeah,
Like, what,
extra.
he loses
He's got a
them?
nunchuck rack.
Yeah. And there's a lot that are missing from there too.
Yeah.
All the scars. That's
That's
a Batman
very
shot.
cool.
That's
It's
a definite Batman shot.
That's a cool shot though. I really like that shot. That reminds
That's
me
a Batman shot. I feel like they could have just taken this movie and just been like, they CGI'd like the suit to black and just being like, imagine if he had little pointy ears.
Yeah.
The pulling of the tooth is a weird thing, but
Yeah.
so one of
I
the,
like this little shot of just all the different
all the
meds.
painkillers he's on and shit.
the shot right there actually reminded me exactly of there's a
I don't think you're supposed to do that with pills.
It makes them work faster because your
I mean,
your stomach doesn't have to dissolve them.
Fine, I guess.
who's the I can't think of his name. Why can't I think of people's names tonight? The artist who does real life paintings of superheroes.
Alex Ross.
Alex Ross. There's an Alex Ross painting of Batman called Scar. I think Scars.
Oh
from the
yeah, where
Past.
he's like looking in a mirror and
He's
you
looking
see
in the
like
mirror
his
and
back is flexed and you see all the scars. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what that shot reminded me of.
Yeah, I think it's from his story War on Crime.
Okay.
That looks really bad.
Yeah, it does.
Matt
Yep.
looks like a smudged oil painting.
Yeah.
This looks a little better, but
So
They
that's
could have
it.
focused more on the matting or the matting of the confessional booth and
Yeah.
yeah.
oh, the
behind
screen.
Yeah, that's what I meant, the screen.
So part of that is this. In this movie, Ben Affleck is just a big guy because he's Ben Affleck and a big guy. But he does not have the late night 2000s, 2010s superhero body in this movie.
He's not cut, yeah.
He is not cut like crazy. He is
He's just
a big guy.
yeah.
A big dude who's in shape,
Yep.
in believable shape.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Not, he is not Chris Hemsworth.
Good
Yep.
lord.
And I know Daredevil's never been kind of that guy, but I mean,
He's
comics
a little
are-
more lithe because he's
Yeah.
acrobatic. He's
Yeah.
like a Nightwing physique.
yeah, with less good butt.
Less good. This is true. He does have a radioactive dick because whoever he has sex with, like, probably dies.
No. I learned something today.
Yeah, getting in a relationship with Matt Murdock or Daredevil was like the worst thing you could do. And
Hmm.
holy crap, that suit he is wearing. God, I'm glad you are blind.
And they're both in terrible suits. Actually, the early 2000s was not a good period for suits.
No,
Or clothing, I don't think.
no,
that's fair.
or
Late
hair.
90s, early thousands.
Yeah, there are no Junko jeans in this.
That's a
at least.
great
That's hilarious.
bit of art, though.
Yeah.
And this for me, in just a moment here, is where this movie fucking just bites it, falls right on its face, and never gets up.
Mm-hmm.
When Jennifer Garner comes in, she's not in yet, but
This is where Affleck met Garner, who we later married.
Yeah. It's a good line.
John Favreau is
Yeah.
John is an excellent smartass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The he may pay in Fluke, but I'd rather him pay in gefilte fish.
Yeah,
Gefilte
gefilte
fish.
fish from
Or no,
Rush Hour
Lutefisk.
2?
Lutefisk.
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 So that in case of emergency, you can call the emergency Lutefisk hotline. which is an actual thing in Minnesota.
That's one. Of course, it would be. Minnesota. Much of my extended family is from Minnesota.
Foggy plays the trick on him here, where he gives him mustard instead of honey
To put in his coffee.
Yeah,
or tea or whatever.
They still have not identified him as Foggy.
I don't know if they ever.
They don't. They never use the term Foggy.
They do in a scene that's in the director's cut, which once we get into this next flow of scenes, and after you guys have experienced it again, I'll go over how it differs. But so stay tuned for that, because it's a discernible narrative difference. Where you have Jennifer Garner walking in to this random coffee shop, or looking like she's a woman from the early 2000s.
The coffee swap is great.
Yeah. So Matt swaps it so that Foggy's got the mustard in his drink.
Yep.
A lot of mustard.
So this is where the movie becomes really juvenile.
Well, yeah, because here we see asshole or smart-ass Matt Murdock being like, "Aha, yes, I am blind. You will fall for me, like I would if I did not have this cane."
Hey. Yeah.
That's another trailer thing.
Yeah.
So admittedly, that's a great pickup line.
Oh yeah, you can tell he's like rehearsed that and used that
Yeah.
many times.
That's clever, right? Good way to avoid answering that
All
question.
right, so I jumped the gun. This isn't where the movie falls on its face. We'll get to the playground soon.
Oh, it's still not.
This is the beginning of this.
This is bad dialogue.
It's pretty bad. Yeah,
The jokes are funny, but everything in between does not
I agree. Yeah.
hold up.
Yeah,
That's a nice-
motherfucker.
This is
I didn't
where-
give your name to.
Yep.
And this is where Matt gets creepy.
Yeah, this is creepy. Don't do this, Matt.
Yeah. You should bone me because I'm handicapped.
That's
It's
that's a
clever
good-
but creepy.
Yeah.
It would feel less creepy if there was a different interaction between these two
If
at
they
this
had
point.
any kind of interaction up to this point,
Also, why is she standing there? Just
because she's not even
creeping?
gonna follow him.
I guess.
No, she's hiding from her tail. 'Cause she's being tailed.
Oh, that's right. Yep, you're right.
I don't like being followed, so I'm gonna hang out at a playground with kids.
Yeah.
Also, don't do that.
Don't
Yeah.
grab people.
This is in 2018. This is a hashtag Me Too.
Right. And it should be.
Yeah.
This is bullshit. Matt's just a fucking asshole right now.
He
Yep.
like that right there. If she didn't actually know what she was doing, he just acted like he was going to hurl her to the ground.
Yeah.
Yep. In front of a bunch of witnesses.
So this is where in the theater I was like, "Oh, this movie's real bad."
I just
Even that girl on the swing knows it.
Yeah.
So they are in one of the many very small concrete parks in New York, in front of a bunch of children
And a mom in a stroller in the background,
Right.
apparently.
disrobing so they can do kung fu against each other.
Right. And now they're doing like Mortal Kombat intro scenes to each other.
And
I blame the Matrix for this.
it's that's
That's fair.
That's fair.
And then this looks so whoa, boy.
Yeah.
This might these seesaws might as well say Acme on the side. This
Yeah,
is
with like
ridiculous.
giant springs beneath them.
Oh my god.
This would be like a Neo Trinity meet cute.
I mean, that's a funny joke.
Yeah.
Try asking for my number, but
And very 2000s children yelling
yeah.
fight.
Yep.
Now contrast this already to the fight scene at the beginning of the movie. It looks fucking terrible. Every single shot.
It's really slow.
It's really slow. It's
the cuts are much longer.
all the acrobatics on the fucking playground equipment are super forced.
Yep. It's
Oh
it's
my
very
God.
forced and it's really slow. Like they are.
It feels kind of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon-y.
But they're very slow. But there's no force behind them.
Yeah.
It looks like it. Honestly,
It looks like play fighting.
Yeah, it looks like they took a cut from the like. Okay, here's how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Here we have
The
Michael
late-
Clark Duncan
The late Michael Clark Duncan.
as Wilson Fisk.
I wish we had more of him in this movie.
Yeah, he's
I like him as Wilson
absent
Fisk.
for much of it, at least in
Yeah.
this cut.
So when I first saw this, I'm like, wow, they made him an African American guy, which interesting choice. I think it adds a lot to this role.
Yeah.
Originally Wilson Fisk is a Caucasian character. However, when the character first came out in '67, he originally was going to be black, but because it was like during the civil rights,
they decided
not to make him black because of like the negative press that would cause of being.
Yeah.
And that tracks for Marvel at the time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, both Marvel and DC were
right.
pretty progressive around those times as far as tackling those sort of things.
Yeah, my intent was not to slight DC.
No. But Michael Clark Duncan, I think, when he was first cast in this role, he weighed 290. They asked him to gain 40 pounds.
Wow.
He's fucking huge.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And so he's probably best known for The Green Mile, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually a movie I have not seen.
One thing about this scene that takes away from it for me, the backdrop is so obviously fake and terrible.
Oh gosh,
That's intentional though, right?
I don't know.
I don't window, Ryan.
I don't think it is.
No, that's supposed to
I
be
took it to
window.
be art.
No, that's supposed to be because you saw he was on the top floor of that building.
Yeah, I don't know. I respectfully disagree. I think
that
that
man
was
is
supposed
holding
to be
many
art.
pizzas.
There's
Sorry,
a lot of pizzas.
I just
Hi, I wear all camouflage all the time.
yeah.
again, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Look at all those pizzas.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that guy.
Oh, dog, pizza though.
So many pizzas.
So we're hearing that Elektra has studied. So these are like they're having normal human conversation, and then Elektra says, "My father had me study with a different sensei every year." Like that's a really weird fucking thing to just say all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you just fought a blind guy in a park with karate, but still.
Which apparently they walked down the street before she asked him the question of how did you do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Michael Clark Duncan is just such a presence.
Yeah.
Absolutely, just vocally, physically.
Yeah.
He's the biggest guy on screen all the time.
Yep.
Oh no,
This is just
fucking terrible.
it's so bad.
So we a shot opens on a dartboard with several bullseyes being thrown. Camera pans away. Well, not really a pan.
Pulls out.
Yeah, pulls out. There you go. Thank you, Max. To a very
Very
Very-
Irish.
Irish Colin Farrell.
This
He
is
was
the first
throwing
time he actually got to use his actual voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. His actual actual accent.
So I'm gonna preface this by saying that Colin Farrell is an extremely good actor.
yes.
I think he's very good. But whatever the fuck he's doing in this movie, whether it's his decision or someone else's, is the worst all the time. His weird, I'm a villain cape swoosh that he does like 1,700 times in this movie is stupid.
Yeah.
His facial expressions are never convincing.
This-
The bullseye
Scarring
is a little
It's a little too on the head.
yeah.
Hey.
I mean, he does a good I'm a psychopath killer. But
So
yeah.
Bullseye's slowly pulling some paper, right now a paperclip out of his pocket, straightening it. And wait for it, some guy who owes him money for losing darts.
Oh.
Look, just threw the fucking paperclip into the dude's throat. And now he's got like 1,400 paperclips, and he's just pincushioning this dude's turkey neck.
Yep.
His Mitch McConnell neck.
Oh no, some turtle meat.
Yep.
But
I'm assuming that was him destroying that guy's vocal cords. That's what I took that to mean,
Oh.
not actually killing him.
huh?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he could have survived that.
She sounds like a Mexican appetizer.
It's just there's some jokes in this that wouldn't fly nowadays. That's one of them, but
Right.
it is very funny.
Right.
That's supposed to be a funny running joke, but it
As your attorney, I blah blah blah.
yeah, it works.
A few times.
A few times. Yeah.
This is funny, and then it gets dark.
Yeah,
what the
this is-
hell?
Yeah.
This is
she is an old racist lady, so maybe this is for the best. But
right. Yeah. It's just
I have to love that she's talking so loud that he can hear her over his metal headphones.
and it's just the movie cannot figure out, or I guess what's more likely does not care about any sort of tonal consistency in scenes like this.
his frantic eyes here are just
Like this scene, if different tones had been established prior to this is actually kind of funny.
This right here, him staring her down while it happens, is
Yeah.
weird.
And like getting some like
Yeah.
pleasure out of it. Yeah.
Yep. No.
This is kind of funny. More peanuts. I don't know.
Back to blue filter.
Yep. With what
Blue and
looks
blue
to be
and blue
really,
and blue.
That's sped up film right there, right? Because
Yep.
it looks really bad.
Wow. He punched the frosting out of his hair.
He got it on loan from the guy playing Wesley.
Quit beating up NSYNC members.
Yeah, right.
Everybody. Yeah.
Backstreet smack. All right. You're welcome, Internet. That's a pretty cool shadow effect.
Yeah. Again, could have been a Batman thing. Just like, imagine if his ears were just a little bit longer.
Right.
This goon looks familiar
Yeah.
as he's running through the
I
street.
can't
Yeah.
place him.
in the rain, which we'll soon learn is very important for Daredevil. Rain is good.
Rain is good.
I'm
rain.
ungooning. I've taken my
Yeah.
my hat off.
Taking off my goon uniform.
Yeah.
His
My
gooniform?
Gooniform. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Hey, look, it's a dog from Resident Evil.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, fuck.
Or a giant bird. Or,
Change
no,
my
a bunch of
pants.
birds.
Yeah. Huh?
See, right there, he looks familiar.
He
Yeah.
looks a little bit like one of the goons from Spider-Man 1.
That's likely.
I don't know.
Goons often get goon roles.
This is true. But that's not their fault. That's casting
Yeah.
directors.
Is that because
That's correct.
they go and get talent from the Goonion?
Ugh. Ugh.
Mm.
So, this is an impactful scene for Matt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is just terribly bad acting from this kid. I mean, he's a kid, so I'm not going to pick on him, but it's just bad acting.
He's got, one little thing like be scared
Yeah.
Yeah.
when the red leather daddy is around you.
Yikes.
Yeah. Do you think he just said that for the rest of the night? I'm
Yeah.
not the bad guy.
Maybe.
I'm not the bad guy.
He's got Christian guilt.
It's a weird cut.
Yeah.
Weird fade. I don't know.
Oh, God.
My pupils were not
Blinding.
ready for this. So we're back to Matt walking through the city in the daytime. Bo-bo-bo. And this is Karen,
Yes, that is Karen Page.
Yep.
who's in the movie for about 10 seconds.
Yep.
So that is Meredith from Grey's Anatomy, by the way.
Huh.
Hmm.
I don't watch that show, so I don't get the reference.
Yep.
I like the Karen's like, but I wanted to be the plus one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of the stuff. In
Yeah,
this
the
office
ship.
is
It's pretty
so
funny.
funny.
All the other things that they've been paid with.
Multiple soccer balls.
Yep. Hey, you know what though? They have a bunch of Johnny Walker Red Label. If
Hey.
they aren't selling that, hawking that stuff on a New York street because they can't make rent, they're not trying hard enough.
Well said. Well said. That's pretty cool.
How much do you think those Braille printers cost?
I don't know.
Yeah.
A little self-deprecation by Favreau here.
Yep, as a +1. All right, so I'll talk about the major subplot that was cut out from the movie now. So there's a subplot where there's a person, or when he's going to bed after the fight where we saw him climb into the chamber, he hears like a woman like screaming like help, 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 and then like she dies. He later finds out there's someone who was accused of killing her, who was was super, super high, woke up, they found the murder weapon in his hand or whatnot, played by Coolio. And he goes in to talk to him, and he's like, did you do it? And he says, no, I didn't. And he's like, he listened to his heart, and he's like, okay, yeah, I believe you, I'll represent you, da-da-da-da-da. And throughout the movie, of like half an hour of scenes, pretty much, they find out that he was actually innocent, he was set up, and da-da-da-da-da. And you actually see Matt Murdock being a lawyer. So you see both sides of the character, not just the vigilante of Daredevil punching people to,
All right.
justice, whatnot.
And
So
murdering folks on train tracks.
exactly, yeah. So you actually get to see the duality of the character and a better representation of what the character is, not just the Batman side.
Do we really believe that Foggy doesn't know that Matt's a little different? He's just got a swish. I don't know.
Yes.
So here's one of those jokes that we were talking about, because this is a transgender joke right here.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And right here. There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
What?
Did you guys see that video of the guy wearing like the knee-high boots? Like 2019's right around the corner. If any guy's gonna come at me, they're gonna catch this. And he like does like a Jedi flip, wearing like knee-high like red high-heeled boots.
Sounds great though.
That.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular.
Huh.
He's doing like some Darth Maul like backflips and stuff. It's I'll show it to you guys after this.
So you have known Matt Murdock for approximately 42 minutes, and you're following him to a rooftop.
He's blind. What's he gonna do?
Yeah, but he also
was.
Kung Fu Fighter.
I know. I'm joking.
I know, but still, he creepulated his way around.
Yeah.
He creepy kung fu'd you.
Creep foo.
Blind foo.
What
Those
is
are my
this?
breasts.
Yeah, Matt's like, what is this? And I'm like, sexual harassment, Matt. You're the
Yeah.
lawyer.
How do you know it's beautiful?
He squeezed it. It's got indentations and stuff on it. Right?
Yeah.
Plus, he can just say it. He's trying to. He's
He's
trying to
got
get points.
He has good spatial visualization skills.
Oh,
I'm a little bit too excited when you asked what happened there,
Yeah.
Maddie.
Yeah.
and so now this movie drags for a very long time.
This is the point where the movie admits to you finally that it doesn't have a plot.
Yes.
Right.
That it's just around.
Yep.
Daredevil is ancillary to everything that's going on in this. He just happens to be around when things are happening. So here's where he fills the cracks in.
Release the Krakens.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
So I like this idea. I think it's a cool idea with the world that they've built with how he's able to see, right?
Yeah,
That
like
Rain-
echolocation and stuff.
that Rain gives
He'll
an
become
overview.
a Batman.
But I don't need him to explain it to me. Yeah.
Fist bump for Matt.
I'd rather have had him say, "Hey, it's gonna rain," and then them have show like from his view what like kind of the little bits of pieces.
Yeah,
that he
like
gets
him
to see of her.
slowly being able to like make out shapes and,
then the
stuff
ra-
like
and then
that.
The rain comes down, and all of a sudden you can see all of her at the same time. Like that would have been a really cool. They
Excuse me.
kind of do it here, but if they would have just this looks
If they-
terrible, by the way. But
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's pretty
yeah,
bad.
it's
It
pretty
looks
bad.
dated, but it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah.
It's.
The
I can see what they're trying to do.
The reason why it looks terrible to me, Max, is that the other actions or the other stuff that they've done with sound
Looks
has
different.
It looks different.
Yeah,
looks
it looks.
completely
It's
different.
pulsing.
Yeah.
It's sound pulsing. If it would have been sound coming off of her and been that kind of shape, we've lost the pulses that don't make that just look like she's Cortana.
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
This seems like they're moving awfully quick. I don't know. Pope's got a bobtail. What is that? What does
These
that
seem
mean?
like real kisses. They might have been into each other at this point already.
Yeah.
So Matt is hearing some violence, some crime happening.
Crimes are happening.
Oh, they mentioned Kingpin too.
Yep.
Ooh.
His Daredevil sense is tingling.
No, you don't.
No, blind man, stay up here with me.
So this is peak Jennifer Garner, right? Like this is Alias going on right now for her.
Yeah, I think that show. Yeah. Yep. I've never seen that show, but I'm aware of its existence.
Yeah, and that was like, I mean, she was back in the early 2000s. It was like must see, like weekly watch TV kind of
Yep.
deal.
Yeah.
Nice cut to that statue of
All right.
something fondling someone.
Yeah, instead of this super awkward and superfluous sex scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just don't need it.
Mm-mm. And it's just it is itself awkward, and it's shot awkwardly. We don't need it.
All right, so here's where I'll interject on how these scenes were all rearranged because we've gotten to the point where the ending is the same. So in the theatrical version, which we're watching now, we have the street fight where the guy's like, "I'm not the bad guy." The office scene with the invitation to the ball. The romantic scene in the roof, which we just finished. This love-making scene, and then the ball, which we'll come up to in a couple minutes here. In the director's cut, we have the romantic scene in the roof, which after he says, don't go, he leaves, then goes to the street fight with the I'm not the bad guy, then the scene in a church, I think where he's confessing or something like that, then the office scene with the invitation, and then the ball. There is never the love scene. There's no him getting the invitation twice here.
Huh.
So you see him leave Elektra to go fight crime, and then they don't interact again until the ball. There's no, like, their relationship is less established and more, like, kind of in the wind, kind of more Batman and Catwoman from Batman Returns, where they're kind of getting it on, but then they both have to go someplace, and they never really consummate it.
They have to go place.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, and this theatrical cut feels a little bit like weird adolescent like fantasy fulfillment. It's like, hey, you talked to a girl twice and it rained once, so why don't you guys bone now? I don't know. It just feels really stupid.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Ryan.
Yeah, so they talk once. He gets the invitation. He doesn't see her until this scene right here. So I think it's a little more
Who drinks beer
restrained.
like that?
Yeah, no one drinks beer like that.
Holding like the neck like that? Yeah. Got to show the label.
Yeah.
Way to go, you fucking drunk Ben Urich. Knocking Matt's staff out of his staff.
Took the wrong pill, didn't you?
So that's a cool subtle thing that Urich does right there.
Just notices.
Yes, he notices the handle
that he knocks out of his hand. I think he knocks out of his hand on purpose.
I don't think so. So Ben Affleck is 6'4", and Michael Clark Duncan was, I don't have his exact height off my head, but they put him on lifters because just to make him seem that much bigger than Ben Affleck.
Blonde lawyers from Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He's the blind one. I'm deaf.
Yeah.
So we're getting some honor from Matt here.
Yep.
So Fisk is offering up potential work, and Matt's like, nah, brah.
I would have loved to see more from him as far as, like you were saying, like in this movie or in a following film. Because they really throw, like, every core Daredevil thing into this movie except for ninjas.
Yeah. The thing that I like with Duncan's character is that he's able to go between very charismatic and
just threatening
very quickly.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the scenes they cut from this movie is right before he meets Nachios from that initial meeting. He's like, "Oh, somebody talked," and he's like, and he kills one of his bodyguards like out of rage.
Oh wow!
Just like punches him in the throat or something like that. Or
oh jeez.
Yeah, there's a lot of like that brutality that you see in the Netflix show.
There was no immediately available car door to smash one's head in.
Yeah.
That's a little weird. I don't know.
Like the sound.
Is that smell-o-vision?
I think it's actually it might be, Ryan. I took it as the sound coming off of like the sizzling.
The sizzling and the moving of the atmosphere.
But why from the cigar?
The cigar is the question.
Yeah.
It's the scent.
Yeah, it must be smell-o-vision. That has to be it. This is smell-o-vision.
It's a combination of the two.
I'm settling on smell-o-vision.
If the magic school, but like that's what you wanted from the rain scene, where he sees her face partially, then it dissolves away.
Yeah.
Okay, weirdo.
Yeah, as my wife put out on this one, when she first saw Jennifer Gardner when we were watching it, she said one person was obviously in charge of her boobs.
Right.
Of this dress is ridiculous.
Right.
It is a ball. So
yes.
So I noticed Favreau's hand on the statue he's running is just a giant breast on a eagle on the stairwell.
Yep. On the weird griffin-y thing.
Yeah. Oh boy. That's an endearing joke that he just made. You look beautiful tonight.
there you go. Like you were talking about, Ryan, the scars are a little faded now.
Yeah.
But they're still clearly there.
Yeah.
I wonder if Jennifer Garner has to be in some pretty hefty heels right now to be even close to eye level with Ben.
Oh yeah.
She could be.
She's
Maybe
only
she's really
a
tall?
couple inches
Huh.
shorter than him right now.
Go ahead.
I always confuse Jennifer Gardner and Hilary Swank because they're both
I could see
very athletic,
Yeah, kind of taller ladies.
taller, strong women.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they've both got the dimples.
Yeah. Yep.
Jennifer Garner's actually wearing green contacts for this movie.
Yeah,
'cause
they're
her eyes
very
are brown.
green.
Yeah, they're super. They're unnaturally green.
No, they're.
I think they're unnaturally green, but they're not too.
That's Frank Miller.
That was him.
Ah.
Okay, that's
Yep.
funny.
The reason why I said they're unnat is because they don't have there's no subtle. I never noticed subtle variations in the pupil. It's just
It's just green.
It's just a single flat green around her
Yep.
eyes.
That must be like a terror. Like, can you imagine the size of that hand coming down
Good
your shoulder?
Lord.
Again, here he's being endearing, and then he's going to
Terrifying.
terrify.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
he's,
oh, dude.
he's so menacing. He's so good in this role.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good sign,
Nope.
buddy. With the
Nope.
flower in the pocket.
Yeah.
Yep. It's something you will only notice as an audience member who has seen the flower throughout the film.
Right.
Yep.
But that's Eric Avari. That's the actor who plays Nicholas Nachios. He's actually Indian.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff
yeah,
for sure.
He's one of those guys who
You see him
shows up
everywhere.
a lot.
Yeah.
Viewers probably will notice him
Smack!
or recognize him from the first Mummy film.
Yep.
When he's the guy wearing the fez.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right. Steven Summers movie.
Mm-hmm. Lots of rappelling and dramatic acoustic guitar.
Ugh.
Blue filter.
Yes. All I wanted in this scene was to see Sly Stallone come zipping by in an F1 car.
This is
Apparently, he didn't know how to
ridiculous.
ride a motorcycle for this. It's a good stunt, though.
Yeah, it's one of those things though that his whole thing is I can hit anything with anything.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a bit of a diva.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
I have belt blades.
Yeah. But it seems weird for him to suddenly have this supernatural balancing ability.
Yeah.
I would have much rather have seen him take some kind of ridiculous shot to
Yeah.
take these guys.
Yeah,
out.
from the roof or something like that.
Yeah.
So Bullseye was just standing on his motorcycle and whipped a bunch of ninja stars out of his belt buckle
Yep, sure I can.
and assassinated Elektra's dad and, well, not yet, but
Nope.
the limo driver in their car.
Here's your diva part right
Yeah.
here. He wants to kill Daredevil because he made him miss.
Right, and in this scene, we don't know that part yet, but in this scene, him being mad that he missed makes sense.
Yes.
Mhm.
But an entire vendetta based around him missing is too much even for this movie, I think.
Yeah.
This does
Flash
not
kick.
look great.
Nope. That is the Matrix right there. Matrix effects. Where everyone's a little too long and a little too smooth.
Right.
Yep.
This is a good pull from Bullseye, though.
Yes.
He stole Matt's baton.
And then they do one of their sound issues, like you talked about, Max, where
Mm-hmm.
he gets messed up,
Boo, splody goo.
and lots of batons.
Ah.
Billy Club used double team. Oh, that was a bad CG.
Yeah, most of this is bad CG. So, the one thing
Cape flap.
Tip.
Yeah. On this,
Bleh,
what's
I'm a
even
vampire.
weird to me on that is that, again, his power is he can hit anything with anything, right? He
Yeah,
just
that's
doesn't
like his
miss.
he has the ability to just be the perfect shot.
Yeah, he just threw a baton through someone's sternum from 100 yards away.
Right.
That's his thing.
No, but the amount of force necessary to throw a baton through someone's sternum.
I mean, look at it. You're seeing Daredevil who just like climbed up the side of a building and then has been diving off a building. So everyone's abilities are taken to their next level of being like, hey, okay, this is still 2003, so we don't have the good superhero movies yet. We've got a couple of them, but
I know
the good ones.
I'm arguing physics in a movie,
a
Daredevil movie, but like that's the one thing with his character that really took me out of a lot of stuff. Like
he's too good.
Like no, but like not that he's too good, but
it doesn't make sense with what his ability is supposed to be.
Any sense? Like if he would have thrown it or like punched it open a little bit so that there was at least pointy on the end,
or like hit him in the side of the head or something like
that.
Like that, like he.
But to puncture his chest, right?
He threw a flat circle, basically, through someone's chest.
And into their heart, presumably.
And it goes in like
shucks.
Yeah,
like it goes in all the way.
Yeah.
Batman angry.
Yeah, so he knocks
you
all
can tell this is two different shots because on one of those takes there's one remaining on the hooks and now there isn't any.
Yeah.
And this is where he remembers he doesn't have an Alfred to clean up after him.
He has to go around like banging on stuff just to see where things in the room are.
Oh god, that beer is so good.
Yeah,
yes, it
and
is.
It's
I
gone.
am upset there is no more. But
bye beer.
I still have some.
Well, fine. Me and Ryan will drink something else.
That's right, and it'll be way better than yours.
Yeah.
He looks like he's on an old TV.
Like really old.
Yep.
I like that the graves are the family members.
Yeah, the nachos versus.
Yep.
So, yeah, we rag a ton on this movie's soundtrack, and this is actually the first instance of Evanescence in this movie,
but not the one this movie's known for.
Right.
No.
But I actually very much like this song. This is a good song. Just throwing it out there.
The piano part's fine.
This song is not bad for the sequence that's going on right here.
And I actually, over the summer, went and saw Evanescence live with Lindsey Sterling, which was a great show.
Oh.
So seeing Amy Lee do this live was pretty cool. She is a very capable artist.
Oh, no, yeah, she has a great voice.
But a few times in this movie, it's just like a weird music video, though, because of how the end product ends up being. I don't know.
Yeah, later on, there's definitely that portion of it, which I believe for the Evanescence music video for Wake Me Up Inside, it did use scenes from this
Bring
movie.
Me to Life is the name
Bring
of
Me
the
to
song.
Life, yeah. That's what it was.
With some guy who sings some of the parts from a band called 12 Stones that still no one knows who they are.
Oh, he wasn't part of Evanescence?
No, he's from a different band called 12 Stones. I got very into that song originally.
It's like rain
So this is
on your funeral day.
This is a cool effect. I actually really like the connotations. That still looks terrible, but when she puts the umbrella up so she disappears,
So she
from
can't.
his
Yeah,
view,
you can't see her.
That's such a
That's a nice effect.
It's,
yeah.
It looks cool, but it still doesn't really make sense with his powers. Like I don't know why that would.
No. It doesn't make sense for his powers,
But it's cool.
from a good
Yeah.
It's a good
thematic element.
I agree.
It works
Storytelling
perfectly.
note.
He's just like, I don't want you to see me.
Right.
Yep.
Like Dracula and Bram Stoker's Dracula's like, no, don't see me.
So, to speak on the music on this, is the music in this movie, the background music, louder than in other movies during dialogue sequences?
It's weird. So at least in this scene, the music for most of it is pretty loud when there isn't dialogue, and then dialogue happens, and they pull the music back a bit, but they don't always. Like just
Good
now
suit.
in the limo, like the music was still a little too loud when she started talking.
Yeah.
It feels, I don't know if sloppy's the right word, but it feels kind of sloppy.
Yeah,
Michael Clark Duncan wins the award for best suits in this movie.
Yeah, he wins the award for best lots of stuff, kind of acting, presence.
I'll drop you like a 3-year-old corpse's testicle. That's
Right.
what that-
Did you go back and pause it too?
No, I looked it up on
Okay.
IMDb.
This is Kevin Smith, by the
So
way.
that's
Yeah,
Kevin
it's
Smith
Kevin
as Jack Kirby, the coroner.
Man, seeing Kevin Smith pre-weight loss is something.
His hair was the most like, I had to do a double take of being like, is that really him?
And he got bigger than this too.
Yes,
He did.
Got
This is
very big.
yeah, and
And
now
he
he's
is
very small.
Very small. He looks fantastic.
Most recently, we saw him from the Mandy thing, like the stuff with Nick Cage.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He's
even smaller
he's
than
even
that.
smaller than that now.
Yeah, man.
This must have been, knowing who Kevin Smith is, this must have been a thrill for him to get to do this character.
Yeah.
He must have just been over in a riot.
He's not even credited in the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure he was just walking on air the whole time.
Yeah. Because he's writing for DC and maybe Marvel at this point, mostly on Green Arrow. I think he also did a Daredevil thing.
Whoa, someone almost lost an eye.
Daredevil run. But yeah.
It's fun. I like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
That's a good little thing. Hey, look, this is not a blue filter.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
just
it's
just
city.
city. So did anybody look up whether or not they just put Fisk Industries on the side of a building that exists, or did they make a building?
Didn't look.
All right, so
That's a bad dummy.
Yeah.
I have to retract my earlier defense of the background because now there's fucking rain on those windows. See? Look outside.
Yeah.
All right, no, that's just fucking terrible.
Yeah. Well, while James finishes his CBS, Ryan and I have moved on to Lost River from Bellwoods, something I brought back several months ago from Toronto that we just have had sitting in the fridge since then.
Oh, look. Okay, so he put that pencil that is a sharpened thing
Into an olive.
less deep into an olive than he put that baton into some man's chest.
Well, I mean,
It's all about style.
it makes more of a statement if it stays in the olive versus going through, I think.
The pit stopped it. It's a very strong pit. Oh, that quiet, like...
Quit
oh,
ruining
I like
my fun.
That was... Ugh.
Bullseye's like, bleh. Oh yeah, this is one of the, get me a bloody costume. Oh yeah, you can see it in his lips. So
Yep,
Max, you were mentioning
that's
he
some good
says,
ADR because in the director's cut, it's I want a fucking costume, which he never actually gets.
No, he doesn't.
Bullseye's costume is not that impressive. It's like a black and white jumpsuit with a bullseye on his head. So that's literally all it is.
So they just gave him an actual costume. Yeah, I mean, if you're a hitman, right, you should try to be as indescript as possible.
Yeah.
Not, hey,
Big black leather jacket.
Yeah, but I mean, even that, like, he's at least like, oh, it was a like a average height white guy in black, right?
Yeah.
Not, hey, it was the white guy with a bullseye scarred into his
Tattooed on his,
forehead.
scar on his head. Yeah.
So now
Here
we
we
have
go.
the music video.
Music
scene
video mode
Yeah.
that launches Evanescence into just
into memedom.
national renown and memedom eventually.
I find it rather odd that like the "Wake Me Up Inside" meme was just like a year or two ago. Like it took that long, and it wasn't like a recent, like an earlier thing.
Well, part of that is because the song, largely has just been around so long and has been played so much relative to other stuff this band has made.
Her getting ready scene right here is so much cooler than Daredevil's getting ready scene.
Agreed.
Yeah, Daredevil's getting ready scene is just a rehash of the earlier suiting up scene, but also more Joel Schumacher-y.
Yeah, and even when he's like doing his little, I don't know why she has to kill Wilson right here,
Yeah.
but that art is hilariously bad. Like,
so
she's got so you had a bunch of sandbags that she sliced and kicked,
and
did a
whirling
bunch of
around
stuff
and
too.
whooping some ass.
Yeah, and then the last one that comes down has quite literally a Wilson from Castaway style Daredevil face.
Yeah, it's Cape Flap.
Cape
Flap. So I do
Duck
wanna,
Triangle.
Yeah, right. There are a few of those weirdly inserted into this movie.
Yep.
Case in point, right here. Maybe I'll save the music talk for the end, but I do want to say a thing about Evanescence at the end. So I'll
All
wait.
right. Well, we can.
Hey,
save that.
real rats, I think.
Oh,
And not
CGI.
real Ben.
No.
And here's the thing: that only looks bad because it's not animated well.
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The lighting actually on it is
It's
pretty
pretty
darn
good,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is dark, so there's
It's
almost no lighting.
it's deep into the
yeah.
scene.
intelligent use of CGI.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed. Dutch angle.
Yeah.
Apply levity in your movie. Hey, Rat.
But
He's-
that's that face though is
He was chewing the scenery.
it's too much for me. It's unconvincing.
Yeah.
It's someone who's doing an impression of a crazy person and doing it poorly.
Yeah.
Because he's not. Everything they show with from him is like,
Over the top in comparison with everyone else.
yeah, his character doesn't fit in like the in the
Yeah,
hard boiled world they've
Yeah,
created.
he's
No.
he's doing like 60s Batman, and everyone else is doing early aughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Bird.
Birdemic.
She hates laundry.
Yeah.
Same.
Just slicing all of the.
So Elektra and Daredevil are rooftop fighting
Amongst the laundry.
amongst the laundry.
Well, this is where it turns into a Shaggy music video. You keep saying it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Oh, god damn it. I've been trying to forget that song for the last, 17 years. And you gotta bring that shit
Hey.
back up.
Hey, be mad at James, Max. It wasn't me.
Break this bottle.
That clearly not Jennifer Garner in that shot, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep. With
The-
them
the
tight leather
weird,
pants.
Like whooshing noises her size make is a strange choice to me.
Yep. So, fun fact. So, Daredevil is known for fighting the Hand. The immortal ninjas. And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are known for fighting the Foot, which is a parody of the Hand.
Oh, that's
Ah,
funny.
yes. And here she stabs him through the shoulder.
Right.
Which I'm assuming is supposed to be in like some kind of major artery, because he's
I think it just fucking hurts a lot.
really
Probably
outy.
disables your arm. Because it's going to mess with your ligaments and your muscles that help your arm move.
Yeah.
Ryan, you've had shoulder injuries.
Oop, that's a no-no. We don't like that.
Yeah.
Pulling the mask off.
That's my face.
That's my face. Yeah,
He's
I
got
did have
readier.
I did have shoulder surgery. It was not pleasant. Was there a question in there?
I was
aside from that?
talking a little bit about the movement of the arm in relation to the muscles on that part of the body.
Yeah, mine was ligament damage, so I could still move my arm around. So it just hurt a lot. I could move it.
Oh, okay. I did not know the specifics of it.
Yeah, it seems like that wound that she just gave to Daredevil would probably immobilize the arm, like you said.
Okay, so
I
my
don't know.
thing
I'm not a
here
doctologist.
with this is that. So to your point, Ryan, she's known Matt Murdock for
Maybe 2 hours.
Maybe 2 hours. The only thing that she knows is that
He's blind.
no.
And he fights well on seesaws?
Yes, from a who killed my dad perspective, right? All she knows is that it was the Daredevil thing, and Daredevil was around, and she shot at him. So she disables Daredevil, then pulls his mask off, and she's like, "Oh wait, it's the guy that I knew for 2 hours."
Yeah,
Must
why didn't
not
she
be
still think
you.
it's him? Yeah. I guess I boned you so you can't be evil.
I don't. This
That's-
is fun.
Yeah. That was a cool catch from Bullseye as he whips the sigh
Mhm.
back at Elektra. And we get a slow reveal here.
Through
That
the
would
hand.
hurt.
Yeah.
And then they also
I do like the touch of the bullseye and the salute kind of thing he does.
Yeah. This comes back later. This same injury comes back later.
Oof.
It does.
Ah. Vampire Bullseye. That was real bad, you
Why?
guys.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I don't need him to be like, without any emotion, featureless killer, but he's silly.
But why is he jumping
If you
around
want
like a
that,
fucking...
go watch season 3 of
Yeah.
season 3 of Daredevil, where they do have a I don't want to say he's an emotionless killer, but he is a terrifying psychopath.
Oh, season 3 is very good.
That's fine. Like, he's just silly in this.
Yeah.
movie, right. I mean, that's the problem here.
Yeah.
Matt
Uh,
Murdock.
yeah. So Bullseye has just knocked Elektra to the ground. He's complimenting her on her fighting. Oh, did a magic trick.
Gonna make this card disappear.
Ah!
And
Fucking-
this is silly.
It's a little bit dumb.
Yep.
So he Bullseye just
Gave her
whipped
really,
a playing card at Elektra's neck and got a superficial slice on her neck.
Gave her a really bad paper cut.
Yeah.
Which apparently disabled her.
I imagine that would really hurt.
I would for
It
sure.
would, but it's also just a paper cut.
Yeah. So here we have, well,
Then he stabs her with her own side.
Yep.
Right.
iconic comic image. They couldn't show the Psy going through for Comic Code Authority restrictions, so they showed it like poking in the back of her shirt thingy.
Right.
So,
Huh.
that is a.
Did you guys want him to throw something at this helicopter and make it come down?
Yes, I wanted him to throw the side. It just goes like.
I wanted him to throw a cape flap at the spotlight. I wanted him to throw something at the spotlight just to take it out.
Yes. Okay.
The roast.
Yeah.
That's fair. I thought that was a perfect opportunity for him to do something cool.
Yeah.
And Elektra is crawling over to the love of her life of 2 hours.
Crawling on the roof. This wound that will not heal.
Did you just Linkin Park us?
Oh yes, I did.
And then you say fear is not what Matt knows, right? Because that's the whole thing. He's a man without fear.
Thump, thump. No, reach into her chest. Start her heart again.
Yeah.
I learned that from a different movie.
Also starring a lot of other.
Right. And also that one guy, Cyrus.
Sorry.
Daredevil sad. Oh, God. See? If
Yeah.
Bullseye would have busted that fucking thing, it wouldn't be blinding us right now.
Bullseye, you jerk.
How can Matt hear anything with a fucking helicopter around?
Those police vests have have a lot of writing on them.
Very large logos about who they are.
It's like,
They're logos, but it's also like police and then a bunch of other smaller.
and then like the inside of a
Fifth
fucking
priest-
Tylenol
fifth-
bottle.
Yeah. Like it seems like just being in SWAT gear with police and an MP5 is probably all you need to know.
Yeah. Oh, so now we've circled back to Matt on the cross at the top of the church, falling down inside of it.
Yep. Meeting up with the priest who has been around.
Matthew.
And a strange cut.
Yeah, the pull
Yeah.
out from the eye.
A strange cut.
Yeah, he plays as Matt pretty well overall.
Yeah. At first, I was wondering if this church was the same church they used in the TV series.
It looks really similar.
But from the exterior shots, which may not be the same church, it's not. There wasn't as elaborate of an organ on that. But I did have to do like a about it.
So do you think that they let the priest live here just because of the PG-13 rating? It seems out of character for Bullseye. I mean, he fucking killed an old woman with a peanut because she was loud.
The only thing that I thought out of it, Ryan, was that since he's an Irish character,
Yeah, he's probably Catholic.
that
And
he
the
would,
strong
like,
religious roots
the
here.
strong religious roots of being Irish Catholic, probably.
Right, so,
would keep
being a psychopath, you pick and choose.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he does cross himself and whatnot. So yeah,
Right.
that
Yeah.
probably would have killed him based
Yes.
off of the ability we've
Mm.
seen. Just
Yep.
Collapse the jugular.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, look, it's
collapse
the
the
baton.
windpipe.
Don't give him that.
Why does the Billy Club extend to like a hook thing? Oh wait, no,
It's
never
like
mind.
Batman.
It's so he can Batman.
So we're creeping up on some of the most terrible CG I've seen, and I'll look at this.
Oh, it's rough.
You want to
every-
watch Spawn again, Ryan?
I
Let's
would
watch Spawn again, Ryan.
absolutely rather watch Spawn than this.
Yeah, I would too. At least
Really?
At least we get good John Leguizamo.
Look at this, you guys. Look at how fucking bad the backgrounds are.
It's
Oh, God.
this. Whee!
I got your neck. Get your nose. Just hold all of the pipes. Like,
Hey,
Again,
Vance,
Batman.
special effects.
how do they
What-
work?
Like, the pipes are all perfectly gray.
It's very flat.
It's like the modeling was done, but there aren't any textures on any of this.
And why? Like, this is, so let's talk about that a little bit next. Here, he's disabled.
Bong.
Yeah,
I'm disabled. Yeah,
He's got
sorry.
more problems because of loud noises. To speak to your point, this almost falls into the old concept of a superhero, right? Like, if superheroes and supervillains are around, they're all super strong, super fast, super tough.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same basic powers, except they all have like a little twist, right? And it seems like, at least or for a lot of modern stuff that we have now, they're more willing to take
Like an asymmetrical.
an ace. Yeah. They're more willing to allow characters to have significant flaws.
Whap! Fuck you, dude.
It's right in the bullseye.
Yeah.
More
Right.
willing to let characters have some faults and flaws.
Yeah. Pause. This is ridiculous.
Where he grabs the broken
He's just
glass.
catching glass.
Yeah. So again, it's
Yeah. And I've always,
that is more ridiculous than any throwing feat he does. How he just catches panes of glass
yeah.
and then just like
well, and I think
and then just Genji's the
I think with that. Ooh, there's the bell.
sanctuary. But sorry, go back. What you're saying?
So what I think that does is that leads to a lot of these movies feeling like the cop just immediately opens the door, draws his gun at the church. He doesn't see anybody, but he just draws his gun on the church. But it leads to a lot of these characters just feeling generic, right? Nobody feels special or
They don't
specific.
have any distinguishing features. They're just all very good at what they do.
Yeah,
Oh, that was bad.
yeah.
That was also his eyebrows are on really weird. Like one of his eyebrows goes much further across his forehead than the other, and by he I mean bullseye. Weird thing to notice, I know, but this movie doesn't exactly mesmerize me.
He probably has to compensate for that.
Oof.
Yes, I'm just gonna reveal all the plan
Yeah.
while I'm killing you.
So this dialogue here when he's speaking to him, I like this when he is revealing stuff. It's
Yeah.
but like this gives him a little bit of character here.
Yep.
Yeah, so the movie makers try to cultivate like a real psychopath with Bullseye here, and it's just it's mustache twirling to the 10th power a lot of the times. It's just real bad.
This is the only scene that I don't feel he's super mustache twirling.
Yeah, yeah. And this is an awesome. I actually really like this
This
idea.
is so
Yeah,
cool.
that's-
This is great. Yep. So he hears a sniper chambering around
Yep.
and pulls Bullseye's hands into the path, so he puts 2 gunshots through his hands.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And you saw him kind of do the crucifix thing when he came in after he crossed himself,
Right.
and then
Yep.
he just
Bye.
That looks terrible.
It looks
again
real bad.
looks like the end of the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
Oof.
Hey, an over the edge drop. So that's another one too. Over the Edge is a Batman cartoon where Batgirl is thrown off the roof by Scarecrow, and they had to go back to the censors because they showed her falling onto her father's car from outside of the car. And so they went back and turned them around and said, no, you can't do that. You have to show it from inside of the car. You can't show her really hitting. So instead of just showing her hit a car and then be like, oh, cut to Commissioner Gordon, it's way more brutal because you're looking from behind Commissioner Gordon's head, and then his daughter falls onto the hood of his car.
it's like you're in like the back. It's like you're in the rear passenger seat. And they're just like,
oh, it's way worse.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not great.
but less explicit, I guess. So
I guess. It's way worse though.
Daredevil.
Before
So-
this finishes, this is a fine porter,
Yeah.
Lost River from Bellwoods.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it obviously it pales in comparison to the beer we just had, but it's got a nice roasty flavor, fairly easy drinking.
Yeah. I wish he would have kept his suit on. So here we have Kingpin getting ready for a fight.
Right. I do too, but I also understand him taking at least the jacket off, right?
Yeah,
And
once you show him like how big
he's
he is.
massive.
But like really look at his arms in the shots where you can see him. He's
Yeah.
his
just
arms are like the size
huge.
of my chest.
Yeah.
Swear to me.
I
Whoops.
do like reversal.
That's like in a fucking side-scrolling action game where you learn how to fight an enemy. You're like, nope, don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking crunch.
Just
look at how big his shoulders
I
are.
Yeah.
love this. I love that.
Oh yeah, that's a great.
so
you think he's
good.
gonna throw him on the table, but he's like, no, I'm gonna throw you up.
Yeah, Ben Affleck is 6'4", so probably this is a stuntman. So he's
Right.
they probably picked a little bit of a smaller stuntman
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make him look bigger. But he hoists him over his shoulders and hurls him into the
In
ceiling.
the fucking ceiling.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Good God.
I mean, he's got a little bit of a gut, which was that 40 pounds they wanted him to gain for this role.
Yeah.
But just his muscles are just ridiculous.
The dude is
Still
fucking huge.
like this. He's like
And just that voice.
yeah.
Man.
He was also in just around this time. He was in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
Mm.
He played. He was like a general. He was like a gorilla.
Okay.
And Steve Harvey has this bit where he was talking to him on a radio show, and I'm like, people are calling, like he was talking about the movie, and people are like, dude, Steve, this isn't right. They're having a black man in full makeup as a gorilla and whatnot, and he asked them like, how much did you get paid to, because he's kind of like a not a bit part, but it's like a supporting role. They paid him like $10 million to be a gorilla in Planet of the Apes, and
Jesus.
yeah,
So this is cool. He breaks the like waterfall
pipes.
like water pipes so they can see.
Yeah.
And then again, there's a good scene right behind there where he's laughing about the fact that he's fighting the blind lawyer
yeah.
from Hell's Kitchen, and then immediately turns very menacing and dark when he
Right.
asks why he did it, and just is like business.
Yep.
Like,
Oh,
what
that
else would-
that kick there where he breaks
Yeah.
both his
breaks both
knees.
his knees. Yeah.
That'll shut a big man down.
Yeah. So I like that he was able to take Kingpin down in an intelligent way.
Right.
Yeah, he's not gonna like beat him to a submission or beat him to unconscious or whatever, but he's just gonna
He immobilized him.
Yeah.
Completely. Well, not completely. Enough.
And even here, like, you can tell that if they were both on the ground right now, he probably would still be beating Matt Murdock.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Be bashing his head against the ground.
He is just menacing. And here the moral choice happens.
Well, it's a nice development because you saw him in the beginning just like randomly having people being hit by trains.
Right.
So his character development in this movie is almost spot on to the character development of Green Arrow in the Arrow TV show.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's similar to that in season 3 because in season 3, he's like, I need to kill Wilson Fisk because I can't put him away. I can't beat him by the law because he's like just too big and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he in the end he doesn't. He figures out a way to get to him and whatnot.
Well,
So.
I mean, in Arrow, it goes to the whole, like, I kill people because that's what I do. And then,
Yeah.
like, realize he shouldn't.
This is a good poll
This
for
is
Matt
so
here in a
great.
minute.
Yep.
So Fisk threatens to reveal Daredevil's identity. And Matt's like, yeah, sure, a blind guy beat you up. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's, and still, he's still menacing right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's like,
Yeah.
you've only temporarily stopped me.
Yep.
He still has he still has his confidence or whatnot.
Yep. That's a terrible line.
Yeah,
No,
that's
yeah,
real
yeah,
bad.
that's
Just
bad.
didn't need justice is served in here. Look how big he is right there. That you actually get to see how big of a guy Ben Affleck is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really, really like him as Fisk.
This is a cool shot.
That's a great shot.
With the
I
blood flowing
love
under the
that
Daredevil
image
mask.
right there.
Yep.
The blood and the roses and the mask.
Yeah.
I mean, and the idea there that is so great too, right? It's they're visually mixing together. Like these are just like that scene from the end of to go for you with Batman again, Max. But just like the scene from the end of The Dark Knight, where the Joker's like, "We could do this forever."
Mm-hmm.
That's what that scene to me feels like in a lot of ways, where he's
Yeah.
just laughing, being like, "I'm gonna get out." Like,
Yeah.
this
Right.
isn't. We're just.
This
gonna
isn't over.
It's not over. We're gonna keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they should have just taken like 100 roses and hope that one of them fell the right way and CGI in
Yeah.
that rose.
Yeah. So we talked over one of the less potent jokes is that Foggy thinks that alligators live in the city sewers.
Right.
I like Jon Favreau as an actor typically. I think he's pretty funny. This is a good pull because it's someone who very much looks like Jennifer Garner but is not her.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like her stunt double.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Also, what diner or coffee shop has ketchup and mustard on the table?
I don't know, coffee shop for weirdos, I guess.
Yeah. And honey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and honey. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Jon Favreau is in a lot of
Favreau?
ways like the Hulk of actors. You don't want him starring in your film, but he adds a whole lot if he's used correctly.
Mm.
And interestingly, the first few movies that I saw him as an actor in were Iron Man
Iron Man.
because he plays Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bodyguard.
And he's great in it.
And yeah, he is, but I liked him less as he talked more. Because in the first movie, I don't think he says but maybe one thing. And then he slowly gets more speaking lines, and I'm just like, I liked it better when you were just kind of like the silent guy.
He was the driver, right?
Yeah,
there's-
the limo driver. Well,
I
help.
know in 3 he's the person who gets wounded in the attack, but yeah.
Yeah,
1 and 2
there's
he's like
too much of him in 3, but I mean, you can tell
There's
he's
too much of a lot in 3.
He's still a big guy right here too. Again, this is one of the tighter outfits that they put him in because even the Daredevil outfit, though it's tight, is
Yeah.
bulky.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's got that collar, which kind of makes it seem a little wider than
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, and then he
Ooh.
finds
It's in Braille, so that
Braille.
presumes that she is alive.
the
Yep.
necklace de Nachios.
Yep. Nice. Did they actually made an Elektra movie, didn't they?
They
Yeah,
did,
and I saw
it. Was it was like rated the worst superhero movie ever for a long, long time.
And you
I
know
don't
what?
know if it still has that ranking, but
We should consider it.
Yeah.
But you know what? I remember liking that movie more than I liked this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd actually like to watch it now just to kind of compare the two.
yeah, I've never actually watched it, but I just knew it had the reputation of just being like the terrible movie. It
'Cause
was one of those like solo female movies of the mid-aughts that was, they made it with good intentions, but it was just poorly received, like that and Catwoman.
I
Yeah.
feel like
That's
oh
not
man,
how delete works.
No,
Yeah.
so I don't know what's more unrealistic in this scene. That one, this sleazy character who's willing to write anything isn't going to reveal who Daredevil is, or that someone was actually going to use the print key.
Oh, the print screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just
Good
hold
old
my thought
Ben
on that
Urich.
too. Oh, that hat! Just kill him because of the hat.
This looks terrible too. Just use actual.
It's a good line, but from a shitty character.
Yep.
Yeah.
If that's Foggy delivering that line instead, I think it's way better.
Right.
Yeah.
If they develop the relationship a little bit between those two, instead of, honestly, in some ways, instead of having, Foggy's already interested in who Daredevil is, right? So
No,
Right.
not in this he isn't. Well, he's interested in Daredevil as a figure, not in who
as a
he
myth,
is.
In the lore,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, in the lore. So to me, cut that character, cut the
Yeah, cut Ulrich. Yeah,
Cut Ulrich.
I was wondering, what do you don't need that character out of
No.
everyone in this. You don't need him.
and instead develop the relationship between Foggy and Murdoch a little bit more, and have Foggy be the one who figures out that it's actually Matt, and then have him walk out and deliver
Go get
that
him,
line.
Matt. Yeah.
And that is such a more impactful.
Yeah, I agree.
statement
I
that-
agree.
That his best friend in the entire world not only knows who he is, but he's keeping his secret and
supports
he
him.
supports him.
Yep.
That is such a better narrative beat.
Sure,
than
sure.
some random writer.
Hold on. Let's
Yeah.
talk about Pee Wee Piemonte for a second.
Pee
Here
Wee
on the
Piemonte,
right
that's a
side.
good stunt double.
So you guys did watch through the credits, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the director's cut, the end credit scene is at the end of the movie.
Okay, this
Ah.
is
It, no,
not at
it's
the end.
midway
it is,
through here.
It is before the Ulrich scene. One thing I can say while we're waiting for it to happen is one of the minor things they include in the director's cut is Matt and Ben know each other. Like, he uses him as a source, being like,
Oh,
oh
okay.
yeah, I've got a source who feeds me intel on Fisk and whatnot.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's Yeah, but
So we've got a
We'll get to
mid-credit
that,
scene
yeah.
here.
Mid credit. Yep.
So a busted up body, all sorts of busted up in the hospital.
all
Yeah.
sorts of traction.
Fly
Get
buzzing
buzzed
around.
by a fly.
If those eyebrows and mustache tell you anything, it is bullseye.
Yep.
So he's being very
Mhm.
annoyed by this fly, as humans are wont to be.
Very, very large syringe, which would not just be kept out there.
Now we're back to an external shot in the hallway,
Pull out.
and we see that the fly has been pierced by the syringe.
Yep.
Do you really need to say that?
No, he doesn't.
Bullseye.
He doesn't need to say
Well, he
bullseye.
has the entire movie, so you got to kind of do that.
So,
Yeah.
But yeah, they established the characters have a repertoire of being like, hey, I'm an investigative journalist. You're a lawyer. They kind of work together to take down Fisk from the legal side.
okay.
That's why there's the whole line of like, oh yeah, it was Daredevil who took down Fisk, because they actually get a case against Fisk to
Fisk.
like nail him from the legal side.
okay.
But it's physically Daredevil who like brings him down, quote unquote. So
I might watch the director's cut.
Just
You've kind of got me enough where I might actually watch
the movie
it.
flows a lot better. It has a lot more of what you would expect based off of like the TV series, because
Yeah.
they really don't show Matt Murdock being a lawyer at all.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where they're supposed to be in court and Matt's not there and Foggy's there, and he's trying to like do the case or whatnot, but he isn't as prepared. And he goes through Matt's notes, but they're all in Braille, so he's like, yeah. Like, he's like, oh, it's in Braille. It's in Braille.
So the bullseye thing at the end of that movie, this is a very personal thing and like radio for literally only me and half of Ryan. But
Half of Ryan.
Which half?
Top
though?
half or bottom? Left or right?
so in
Which quadrant are we speaking to here?
yeah, in 9th or 10th grade, a couple friends and I made a like knockoff horror, like a hilarious horror movie about how a monkey puppet killed my entire friend's
I
family.
remember that. I've seen that video.
Yes, and one of the jokes that we had was that you never saw the puppet move. So you just cut back and forth and like the puppet would get closer to people.
Oh, okay.
and so
good
one of
low
the
budget
things,
film
though, is
technique.
that it cuts to the puppet and it has a dart. Oh, it was one of those puppets that like could hang on the back of people by sticking its
Right.
hands
And
together.
the Velcro on
Oh,
the
yeah,
hands.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
So one of the jokes is that we had him holding a dart, and then it cut, and you cut over to somebody, and they were dead with the
The
dart,
dart.
In their mouth, and then we pushed the electronic dartboard, and the dartboard went bullseye.
Bullseye.
And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my god! It brought me right back to that movie. And it
Was Steve Cuff involved in that production, or was
no,
that the
Brian
Red
Miller.
Bucket? Oh, okay, Brian Miller.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'll share with
Hey,
you
Brian.
guys now
Brian.
a high
And
school
Steve.
video story of my own. So I had Mrs. Christopher for AP Government, which
As
you guys probably also
Did
had.
all the rest of us?
did.
Yep.
Yep, and we made a video about Shay's Rebellion and the Whiskey Rebellion as
Okay.
like a project you had to do or whatnot. And she kept that video around for like 4 or so years. Like
Nice.
eventually, my sister saw that video. I think it was like, here's quote unquote what not to do, even though we still got an A for the project, but being like, here's what you could do for this video and whatnot. So
Oh boy.
yeah,
Oh.
a video of me was passed down through the ages until she retired.
That's pretty funny.
Yep.
Mm.
Well,
Wow. So okay, so we made a couple of mental sticky notes throughout this.
yeah.
Let's
So
go through some of those.
let's first do View Again, Brew Again, and then we'll get into the larger
Okay.
discussion.
Yeah.
So View Again, Brew Again. I'll start this time. View Again, no. I'm probably not going to watch this again, even if it is like the director's cut, which is longer but better. But if I want to watch Daredevil, I'll just go watch a TV show. It has a very distinct place within like the history of this genre of film. But if I want to watch a Batman movie, I'll go watch Batman Begins. Brew Again, The Lost River from Bellwoods. It's not gonna knock your socks off, but if you just want a nice roasty porter, go for that. And the CBS, like James was saying earlier, I feel like this year's batch is a lot better than last year. Last year's we had a couple ounce sample at Craft Brew City near Ryan's house, and we were all like, okay, yeah, this couple ounce sample is enough for us. But this year we split the bomber between the three of us, and we're like, okay, yeah,
More, please.
yeah, more,
Yes,
please, yeah,
please.
more. Ryan.
Okie dokie. Let's go first to view again. This is a background movie for me. I would background movie this. And I may amend my feelings once I check out the director's cut, but for as much as I truly detest everything after like the first 15 or 20 minutes of this movie, I still think it's just weird and stupid enough to be in the background. But again, don't mistake that for me actually liking it. I don't know. It's just got some stuff where you can look at and just be like, wow, this is just fucking terrible. And something that was supposed to be kind of like a AAA movie. What the hell happened here?
Yeah, because this is a 20th Century Fox movie, which in the early 2000s, that was the studio for Marvel's movies. Like that's where they sold the rights off to. They made the X-Men movies. Those were super successful, and they still have those rights.
Mm-hmm.
They thought about keeping the Daredevil rights. They pitched it as like, oh, we're gonna have it actually be a hard-boiled thing, like in the 30s, but they're like, nah. And then the rights defaulted back to Marvel, and then we got the TV show. So,
yeah,
good on ya.
Brew again. I'm gonna start. They're both yeses for sure. The porter, I guess this is a good thing. I just kind of didn't realize that I had completely flown through it. Like it was just suddenly gone.
Oh.
So it's good. It's very drinkable.
Very drinkable.
I don't know that there's anything particularly remarkable about it, but it was good. Like that was a good porter.
No, this was like $9 or $10 Canadian.
Yeah, so it was solid porter for sure. Just no real standouts there. The CBS, I've got nothing really more to add, but it's very good. They pulled back the sweetness, which was one of our kind of reservations about it before when we had it last year. I think it's really well balanced. It's got like maple in there too.
Yep, it's a maple syrup.
Yeah,
Yep.
I very much like CBS, and again, I like KBS, but I would prefer CBS in pretty much all cases. And it's just a solid drink for sure. And that's not even because we got free swag from Founders. That's just the truth.
Yeah. Again, thank you, Founders.
Yes, thanks,
Yes, thank
Founders.
you.
Yeah.
JG Thorpe.
View again, no, but I would like to watch the director's cut. Ryan, I think that sounds like a project for you and I at some point.
Okay.
One, I would like to point out also that apparently 955 people have reviewed this on Amazon and given it 4 stars. So please do not pay attention to any Amazon movie reviews.
Right. Never.
IMDb 5.3.
That's more like it. View again, or for Brew again. I was mediocre on the porter. It had a little bit of. Hold on.
One final sample.
He's drinking. He's thinking.
Yeah, it's getting a little close to skunky malt for me.
Okay.
I can see where you're coming from that.
So I'm much more of for a porter. I will go far and away more for a very roasty malt flavor as opposed to just like lots and lots of normal malts, because I think you can get towards this little bit of a skunk flavor to it. That said, it's a decent porter.
Yeah, it's apparently also a Baltic porter.
Okay.
So because that is like an 8% ABV, which it does not taste like an 8%.
No, it does
No.
No,
Wow, that surprises me actually.
CBS was fantastic. That was truly what I was hoping for it to be last year. And that's I'm fine with a lot of yearly releases kind of tasting different from year to year, particularly now that we've gotten into the beer world has come to accept that yearly releases are going to taste different.
Yeah, and especially stuff that you're going to age in a barrel. You're not going to have the exact same barrels from one year to the next, and this is aged, I think, 9 months in those barrels. So there's things you can't control about that process. You can try to have as much as you control as much as you can, but you can't make you can't make one batch exactly the same as another.
Right. I mean, you want things to have a general idea of what they should be tasting.
A consistency
right?
to them, yes.
But at the same time, if it's a yearly release, like we talk about, Hop Slam tastes different from year to year, but it's still
Hop Slam.
It's still Hop Slam. Oberon has changed dramatically since it was originally released, but it still has that very Oberon taste to it that's been evolving, but it still maintains that relative taste to it. It's actually been getting more and more sediment in it lately, which I like a lot. Actually, I like the more sediment-filled Oberon.
There are people who admit or not admit, but claim that Bell's Two Hearted their
changed.
their most popular beer has changed since its original inception, or even from a more local scale, Drippa from Kunin's. That is a batch by batch.
Yeah,
Like
and,
there's a good batch or there's a
Kunin's.
not as a
Yeah.
good batch.
and I've had that to as much as I love Kunin's, I've had that on all of their beers. Sometimes I will get a so Kunin's is known really for their two things, right? They're known for Drippa and they're known for their Hefeweizen. Those are their two big beers. I have had some bad Hefeweizens from Kunin's before, and they'll say, yeah, it's a new keg or it's a keg that's been around for a little while, but the next keg's a completely different batch. So they'll say, but they are truly like a small batch brewery.
They're tiny.
They are
Yeah,
little.
for being the size of brewery they are, I don't know the exact barrel size or their barrel size per batch or whatnot. But when you go to the tap room, they've got like 15 to 20 beers on tap.
They make a lot of beers.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so I'm fine with it tasting different from year to year as long as there's some bit of consistency to it. I think that makes those releases a lot more exciting, right? Because I mean, I get that some of these are yearly releases because they're expensive to make or whatever. That's one business reason for it, but I think it's more interesting if at the same time they're kind of playing with things or doing stuff to the yearly releases to kind of be like, hey, it's new from here, new from here. I'm much more apt to go get something because it may taste different but be similar than just go get something because it is
Big and bold and exciting. And
yeah,
such.
or just because it's limited, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I just
Well-
love Hop Slam because of the way it tastes, so I will go get my Hop Slams. But, I'm not rushing out the door to find yearly releases from a lot of other places just because they're limited. I want to see if there's differences from year to year and see what was better or what I like more, or is there a new flavor that it's in there that adds to it or whatever.
Well, that kind of goes back to what we were saying. Is some of these releases are like CBS, for example. Like I had to go to a large grocery store chain to find a bottle of it. It wasn't really that expensive. Or we are in the past, and Hop Slam has just started canning. They're going to start releasing it like in the next week or so.
Yeah.
And like on the website, it's like, oh, track where you can find Hop Slam, and I'm like, I don't need to track where I can find Hop Slam. I know where I can find Hop Slam. It's not going to be difficult. We found it at fucking Costco last year.
Yeah.
It's and CBS, they had it this year and last year. This year they had Bourbon County from Goose Island at
Really?
Costco.
Huh.
Yeah.
I had some of that very recently. It was pretty
It's very good. The,
Yeah.
the Goose Islands that are not the
The 312 or whatever it
312
is.
or whatever, because this is gonna sound stupid, but there's a Goose Island bar inside of O'Hare Airport.
That makes sense.
But it's an airport bar, but they had all of their other good stuff there, and they make wonderful beers that I wish got more distribution than just Chicago.
Yeah, they have some good farmhouse like James style beers.
They're-
I'll refer to them as like Matilda and Sophie and
Those are all the ones I had that I was very happy to have. Those
Yeah.
were great. Matilda was wonderful.
yeah, they're just starting to distribute Matilda a little bit more. I saw it in a 6-pack not too long ago. But those are like the year to year release. Like I think it's 2015 of the Bourbon County Barrel Stout. Like that's a contaminated batch. Like
Oh, really?
something got into it.
Okay.
So like you'll still see them on store shelves as like really marked down.
That's
and
disappointing.
they were able to catch some of it before it went out to distribution, but a lot of it like it was
already out.
already out, whatnot. So
That's a bummer.
yeah.
Because not everybody will give a beer a second chance, right? Some people
Yeah.
just drink it and be like, well, this is just garbage. Not having that again.
Yeah, but that's also one of the yearly releases that they do like a ton of variants. I'm talking like kind of like Dragon's Milk has a lot of variants, but it's kind of like that, but like a next tier above.
Okay.
So like they have like like orange chocolate and blah 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 blah. So all right, so now on to the larger discussion, I suppose, of superhero movies in 2019. Do they have anything more to offer to us? What are they going to do to keep being innovative, or what's going to keep them out from being the same old movie? So in 2018, in the later half of the 2018 had a lot of superhero
Yes.
movies.
Yes.
You had Avengers: Infinity War, which kind of quote unquote like broke the mold as far as narrative storytelling goes, or so some people will say, as far as being like a consolidation of like 18 movies into one story. But then at the end of the year, you had a bunch of movies that people I think had no hope for or expectations or lowered expectations for. Venom, Aquaman, and Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse, which turned out to be like some of the most financially successful and also just interesting movies technically
Yes.
of the year. And what do you guys think about that?
You want me to go?
Sure.
You can
Yeah.
go.
I mean,
No,
I'm
okay.
gonna edit this out anyway. So
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
edit
yeah,
it.
don't
Stay
edit
in.
No, it's fine.
Fight.
So
Yeah. So how do you see the superhero movie genre, I guess, progressing, or do you think it's at a healthy position right now, based off of the movies we have coming out soon and the movies we have just recently seen come out in theaters?
yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to take a very generic comment to start with. Like I feel any story can, for as far as movies are concerned, any story can be told and shot in an interesting way. So I feel like a lot of these superhero movies are good, but they tend to be, for the most part, pretty formulaic and standard fare as far as how they're made, how they're shot, kind of thing. But when you can really, really switch things up, like a Thor Ragnarok or especially a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I'd like to see more creative filmmaking with some of the stories that we already know. That would be good. And it seems like for studios that are going to make comic book movies, the big ones being Marvel and DC, they're going to have to decide, are we going to try, does everybody have to try for a 15-year story arc in a continuous cinematic universe? Or can we just maybe go back to just making, self-contained stories again for our universe and not necessarily have to tie everything together in a giant, stringboard of craziness? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that's handled going forward, because clearly DC is trying to do the Marvel thing, right? That's obvious, to a much lesser degree of success. But I don't know what they're going to decide to do after. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, because Aquaman's definitely the course correction they needed. And based off of how that movie went, I'm much more interested to see how Shazam does.
I agree.
Yeah.
From having seen Aquaman and having just actually very recently seen the Shazam trailer for the first time, I'm much more interested now than I was in seeing where DC goes.
I haven't seen Aquaman yet, but I saw the Shazam trailer with you, Ryan, and both of us looked at each other and were like, "Okay, that seems
Better.
better."
It has
Interesting.
potential to be a very interesting story based
Yeah.
off of the levity of the
Well,
situation it's trying to
And
portray.
I think the Shazam character is a very unique character in a world, at least in our world of comic book hero movies that we have right now, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You have the adolescent male, transforming into the peak human physique pretty much with
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah, I mean, basically transforming into other Superman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at one point, Captain Marvel, I think, was a more popular character, or Shazam, as he's known as now, was a more popular character than Superman or whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense, right? Because let's be honest with it, the original target audience for comic books was kids, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier for a kid to be like, I want to read about the comic book hero who's a kid
And then turns into a superhero.
into
Yeah.
a superhero, as opposed to the superhero is just a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just an Aryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think we're gonna see any change to superhero movies in 2019 at all. We have superhero movies are still incredibly economically viable.
Yeah, and just to very quickly interject to very narrowly answer your question, Max, I agree with James. I don't think we're going to see any course changes in 2019
Zero
specifically.
course changes.
Long term was kind of the long view is what I was going for. But
Yeah.
anyway, back to
Okay,
James.
yeah.
One, the development time for all these movies means that they have been being developed in 2018 and 2017. Were there any superhero movie flops this year? Maybe the closest was Ant-Man and Wasp, and that still made a couple $100 million.
Yeah, Ant-Man and Wasp, but Ant-Man and Wasp was to me a very refreshing film because of how standalone it felt. There was the only little nod to the greater to its existence within the greater Marvel universe was like, oh yeah, I fought with Captain America in Civil War or whatnot.
I still haven't
But
seen
there was
it.
there was no Infinity Stones nonsense. Like in the post credit scenes, you see the dissolve happen to a couple of characters, but it it pretty much stood on its own in a film universe where nothing stands on its own, and had some very interesting themes that no other movies in that universe have explored before, which is relationship between fathers and daughters.
Okay. And Justice League was last year, right?
That was 2017.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
My 2018 was the perpetual year, so I'm trying to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if the genre keeps cranking out, if you can basically say I'm going to make a superhero movie and I'm writing myself a $500 million check, they're not going to do anything different until that stops.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't think that stops till probably 2020 is when they probably start going down, if that. And even then, given that, we wouldn't see any changes till movies till 2020, late 2021, early 2022. I mean, this is just going to be a juggernaut that keeps pushing. It's just going to keep going. Particularly if Marvel really does the thing they look like they might be doing with Captain or with Ms. Marvel, or Captain. What do they call her?
Captain Marvel. That's an interesting perspective, because how much can you do in a movie that's set before all your other movies and still have to tie into a movie coming out 2 months later?
Right. I mean,
you can establish that character very solidly, like you did in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or
what I mean by that is that. So, just a couple quick things. One, spoiler. Okay, I'm going to spoilers you for Infinity War, but at this point,
it's on Netflix. Go watch it.
Go watch it. Spoiler alert. So, everyone that lived is an original Avenger.
Yeah.
Right? So, all of those people are pretty close to the end of their contracts. They're going to kill everybody. It's going to be a sacrifice to bring all the other people
That seems
back.
the most likely way it's going.
Or time travel shit's going to happen. Who knows?
But to me, the intent that Marvel set out is that they are going to basically wipe the slate clean, continue forward with Black Panther and with Spider-Man and with these younger characters, although the guy who plays Black Panther is like 35 or
But
almost 40.
less established characters.
Less established characters, right? They're going to go exploring new characters that may, to your point, Ryan, I don't know if it's going to be formulaic, but at least they're going to be, I think they're going to pull a whole bunch of people out of nowhere. They're gonna start pulling weird characters out because they want to do some funky stuff and have some fun with it.
Like before we started recording today, we were talking about Spider-Man: Edge of the Spider-Verse, because of course we were, and we were talking. Well, at least in my opinion, that movie doesn't happen unless you have 10, or in the sense of Spider-Man, 15 years of previous Spider-Man or comic book movies over in, like, you know this story, you know how it goes, you know the tropes and genre callings of a superhero movie, so we can play with that to the furthest level we could probably extend it, you know, at this point in time, and have it be animated and look super cool, and have a very good soundtrack, and have great voice casting. So, you know, like, I think we're getting to that point in the genre that we can start having, like, just these crazy ass shit where we don't have to it doesn't have to be as clear cut. People can go in just being like, okay, yeah, superhero movies, let's see some crazy ass stuff. I think Guardians of the Galaxy was the first one of those where it's being like, okay, yeah, we've done these movies on Earth with humans and living in America and da-da-da-da-da. Now we're going to do it in space. And oh, yeah, there's a talking raccoon and a tree.
And talking tree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to that, like, that's the question, right? The question is, they don't, if you're a studio, you keep making formula movies until they stop making money.
Yeah.
That's what you do, right? You're going to make money with it, because you know that you're going to make $500 million at least off of those formula movies, so you're fine putting out 2 or 3 of those a year and making your $1.5 billion. You're less fine with saying, I'm going to take a risk and put out a movie that's going to make $1.5 billion, but it could also not make any money, right? If that's one of your 2 or 3 movies you can put out a year. But I think that Marvel has, with one, it has Disney money.
Yes, yeah.
So, but they've put themselves in a situation where they have the ability to do that. So you think about it. We had 3 or 4 years ago, they laid out all of the movies.
Oh yeah, they put up that timeline up at Comic-Con, being like, here's what it is.
Here's what it is through 2019 or 2020 is what they did.
Something like that.
They haven't done that again yet.
No, because I think it would be too revealing of where they.
And
The
that's-
only thing that's been revealed is the
the
Spider-Man
Far From Home.
Far From Home,
Yep.
which I
they
think
said
supposed to
they're
be a
gonna
prequel. It's a prequel to the Avengers Infinity War, I think.
I don't know. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the other one that was on there was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which there's a big question about whether or not that's going to get made. I personally don't think it's going to.
It's not going
Yeah.
to.
But to me, that's a very deliberate choice by Marvel, because I think that Marvel likely is going to do some interesting stuff going forward. I think that they're going to probably do. I think they've said they're going to do Black Panther 2, but they haven't talked about it at all. So
Yeah.
you're going to get some weird stuff's going to come out, and I'm okay with that. I'm excited for it.
They've got their perpetual hype machine set up that they don't need to say anything
but
until until this spring.
But I think you're going to see 2 or 3 movies a year, and 1 or 2 of them are going to be relatively formulaic movies as they introduce new characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to get your one wild movie that's going to be combinations of them, or you're going to see more characters that are, some like Black Panther 2 can probably be a little more crazy than if they were like, oh, we're going to introduce Adam Warlock, right? Like, they're going to have to they're going to tell everyone who the hell Adam Warlock is, but instead they can jump in with Black Panther and be like, here's some crazy new stuff he has. Here's the world post Infinity War. He's living in it. Yada yada. So DC's the other side of it that's kind of weird, but what I'm most excited about is that they have specifically stated that they are going to do more with Into the Spider-Verse, and I cannot say enough about that movie. I'm so excited about that movie.
Just incredible.
The worlds it made are beautiful and fun and everything you want, and that's what to fully answer your question, Max, what I hope for is I hope that superhero movies just start having more fun. My biggest
more fun in the sense of like doing just things that are like crazy off the wall and not taking themselves seriously, or every instance of the word fun of
these are movies about people with absurd powers doing ridiculous things that none of us can ever dream of doing in worlds that should be bright and beautiful and full of everything we want them to be.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean that's it, right? I mean that's the deal.
I just got the shoulder touch.
Ryan is now collapsed on the ground.
Yeah,
twitching.
It's that, like, even you want to see that kind of stuff. We don't. I don't know if Marvel is looking at it and kind of being like, how they balanced it well, but how hard was it for them to actually make Marvel Infinity War? They had such a huge cast. All of that's coming through. So Phase 1, right? They came together and did the Avengers movie, but it was like, oh yeah, these guys are all kind of in the same world and interacting,
doing
a little
their thing,
bit, with a thing or whatever here or there, and then they put them together and they had some fun. And then how it's better? It almost seems better to kind of come out and say, okay, here's the character you care about. Go watch this guy. You don't want to get weighed down by continuity, and they're close to doing that.
Yeah,
and that was great about the Spider-Verse was that it was just like, all this stuff, man. Just we're good. Go
right.
ahead, have fun. Let's have some fun. Let's enjoy.
Right, bagel.
Yeah,
you've seen 5 of the Spider-Man movies.
We're good. We're gonna make fun of those Spider-Man movies, right? You've created they've created.
Then I danced. We don't talk about that.
Yeah. So, and I've been talking for too long, but I want to have more fun with these movies. The best ones are when you walk out of the theater with a big smile on your face and you're absolutely enjoying the last 2 hours that you had. That's what I want
and then you talk about it with your significant other or whatever on the car ride home, being like, "Oh yeah, what'd you think about that?"
Or just enjoying those things.
Yeah. And that's and I think that's great. Ryan, anything to add?
Yeah, so we put a pin in something that we brought up while the movie was still running, and I want to talk about the villains and antagonists in superhero movies and how it's a little, in my opinion, a little bit of a cop out and kind of boring to just have the bad guy just be the good guy but bad. As far as powers.
Yep.
The
darker image of the hero.
Yeah, I mean, so some examples I'm trying to think of. So Ironmonger in Iron Man 1. Fucking the Abomination and the Hulk.
He's
Yellow Jacket, Killmonger.
Right.
I like Killmonger a lot.
His character's great.
Yeah, a very good character, but he pretty much just was evil.
He's just evil Black Panther. Yeah. And almost, and we've kind of talked about this. Killmonger is kind of even more compelling than
The Black Panther's
Black
character?
Panther's character.
I
Yeah,
want to watch the Killmonger movie.
That's in no small part to Michael B. Jordan's
It's
acting of the character for sure.
Aquaman is like reverse Black Panther, Lord of the Rings plus Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yikes.
So that's literally like the best way to describe
Yeah,
it.
and just as a more recent example, spoilers, in Venom, it's the same thing. It's just Venom but different.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's color shifted Venom. And
No,
yeah.
it's Silicon Valley. Venom.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna
yeah.
say no. It's Venom, and then you picked Venom again, but before you picked him, you pressed up
Yeah.
on the
Yeah,
joystick,
change
so
the
it changes
gray
color.
as opposed
Yeah.
to blue.
Blue Venom.
Yeah. And that's actually a thought that I've had for a long time for superhero movies, but I think it's much more interesting when it's, like we said, an asymmetric confrontation and an asymmetric just struggle, and just a really interesting thing to pull, I think, for a movie that nobody likes, but I think I like more than some, is Age of Ultron. Like
No one
when
does like that movie.
when Scarlet Witch just messes the Hulk up for part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect example of two completely different power sets that make for a pretty interesting part of that movie. And I don't think there's enough of that, especially in superhero movies, to play out when you have such fantastical things that could be happening. It's kind of a cop-out, and it's kind of boring to be like, oh, well, this guy smashes. Well, yeah, well, this guy also smashes, but he's less green.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's...
Well, thinking about that, I mean, let's look at a lot of the solo Marvel films. Iron Man, Captain America, Ant-Man, excluding Thor. A lot of them are just humans with tech or minor super abilities that aren't as fantastical as the Hulk or Scarlet Witch. There aren't enough just like super powered foes that the Avengers characters have had to deal with.
Yeah, you get some of that. Like, there's Loki,
I said excluding Thor.
Yeah, excluding Thor. So you have, so to your point, Ryan, Captain America's in the first Captain America movie, his villain, the Red Skull, is literally Captain America. Is literally a person who got injected with the serum.
Right, same guy.
The Nazi version.
Just
of
red
Captain.
face. Skull face.
But the character still acted well. So I think, but what
Yeah.
you're saying is that
The Red Skull.
yeah, you want to see, you want to see something like, in one way, the other Captain America movie, when they meet up with basically Secret MODOK, and and the AI, they're fighting a 1970s AI trying to get information out of him, and then he calls a missile strike in on the location.
Yeah.
like that's a really interesting fight,
Exactly.
quote unquote.
Yeah.
You want to see less. What I think what you're trying to say is you want to see less of like we're just going to get together.
Human punching human.
Yeah, it's the Superman versus Doomsday problem, right? Like
Yeah.
we're just gonna punch face in the street until one of us falls over. Like you can only watch that so many times.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to see these characters have an interaction with each other in completely different ways that are far more interesting. The joke about Marvel movies, right, is they all end with them fighting a horde of things that all lose once you kill the mother brain or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you close the portal, once you beat Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But
But
sorry, Rex,
no.
in Ragnarok, which we all love,
Yeah,
in
it's
Ragnarok, right?
fucking great.
There are 3 villains in Ragnarok. There is Hela, who is basically evil Thor.
I would say she's like more evil Loki.
Yeah, she's evil. Okay, she's evil, like actually evil Loki. But so she's kind of falls into that a little bit. But they make her
her powers are actually really different.
are different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then you also have the Grand Master's a villain in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and he's completely different in a whole different.
Yeah.
He's like a Wilson Fisk style villain, right? He just runs everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other one is
Starter.
Starter, you know, who turns gigantic and no one can defeat him. Like
Right.
those are 3 really different and compelling villains.
Right.
And even though that movie has 3 villains, which is the sin of Spider-Man 3, that it has too many villains, Thor Ragnarok never feels like it has too many villains.
Oh, it's a
Because
tight, excellent movie.
All
Yeah.
so different.
They all have their distinct place in the story,
Exactly.
and they don't step on each other's toes as far
Yeah.
as what they're doing.
Yep.
But going towards villains and Fisks and parallels with the heroes, so the one of the also reasons we're doing Daredevil right now is Daredevil was just canceled
Oh, which sucks.
on Netflix,
Yep.
along with most of the other Netflix shows at the time of this recording. Jessica Jones season 3 and Punisher season 2 have yet to come out, but we assume that shortly after they've come out and
They're
people have
both gonna
digested
get
them and wrote
canceled.
their think pieces about it, they will also be canceled.
Yeah.
No
more than a month after release, I would think.
Yeah. With all that being said, I don't need to see any more Daredevil at all. There is the clause within the contracts that after the shows have been canceled, they cannot be used in any other movie or TV shows for at least 2 years, which is what everyone is assuming is what Disney is doing with all of the media that's being canceled on Netflix. They're going to transfer it over to their own streaming service.
To that Disney Plus service or whatever it
is.
The
Disney Plus, and then just have it their own way. But with how Season 3 of Daredevil ends and how this movie goes as far as, like, this is a Daredevil movie, I legitimately do not need any more else. What are you going to do? You're going to show me another Daredevil Kingpin encounter, another Daredevil Bullseye encounter, another Daredevil fights ninjas and Elektra dies and comes back to life and then dies again thing? I don't need to see any more of that. I don't want any more Daredevil stuff. You show me all I think I would enjoy from this character. Like, I honestly don't need any more Batman movies. I've got fucking, 8 of them. Yeah, 8 of them, not counting animated ones. I've seen all the villains I want to see, for the most part. No good Scarecrow live action yet. Oh, no. Scarecrow.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy's good.
Yeah. Batman Begins. Sorry, my mistake.
Which is the secretly best Batman that Nolan made? Is Batman Begins better than Dark Knight?
I
think upon revision, perhaps.
I think in some ways it might be.
In some ways it might be. But yeah, that's a different conversation, different time. Or maybe not. But yeah, there's some characters I don't need any more Daredevil. I don't think I need any more Spider-Man.
Oh, I want
No. I don't need any more traditional Spider-Man.
Okay,
if you want me to give me off the wall Edge of Spider-Verse Spider-Man, I'll eat that shit up. If you're gonna go to the whole Spider-Geddon where they have 50 Spider-Mans in it or whatever the hell. Sure, yeah, give me more crazy shit, but I'm Peter Parker. I live in Queens with my aunt, and I'm poor. I don't need any more of that.
Well, you're gonna get some more because Tom Holland's gonna make Spider-Mans until he is too tall to make Spider-Mans.
Probably, but still, but again, that's the whole if they could, that might be some interesting in the whole post Avengers thing based off who lives, who dies, and whatnot of him adjusting to the world of here's the world now and whatnot. That could be an interesting story, but I don't need another Sam Raimi Spider-Man story or Andrew Garfield one. But that's just I've gotten enough out of some of these characters that I can. There's more than enough characters you can go to. I think TV works for certain series. I know there's a lot of Image titles have been announced as far as they're getting TV productions in the coming year or two. And I think there's more room to breathe in that kind of format.
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing on that, though, Max, is that as superheroes become more into this, they truly are at this point, they're in the zeitgeist, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Comic books have taken over pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, pop culture is now, you don't get to claim that, the stuff you liked as a kid because you were a geek got you ostracized. It may have as a kid, but your life, the entire American life, rotates around all sci-fi and comic book stuff right now. So,
and likely, if you are my age, you probably weren't ostracized for them.
Yeah. So the thing that comes with this is that we're going to continue to get more of these things. I'm curious to see if they're produced for different audiences.
I think we're slow. I think we've actually kind of gotten to that point based off of Deadpool.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example that there are going to be comic book movies that come out that are not for adults, and there are going to be comic movies that come out that are for adults, and there are going to be comic book movies that come out that are for everybody,
or
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for families or whatever.
That's really the next frontier in some of these things. I think is that I'm curious to see how Marvel adapts to the world upon which Deadpool movies that are rated R get tons and tons and tons of money. Maybe they make the more PG-13 cuts of movies, or maybe we're gonna. Is this a test? I wouldn't be surprised if this is a balloon that Marvel's testing out with Sony. That can they release a PG-13 and R cut of a movie in the theater close to the same time?
Yeah, basically within the same year,
Within
still
the
make
same
money.
it was
right?
what, like 6 months,
Yeah.
something like that, between the 2 cuts of Deadpool.
And
Well, Deadpool I think came out in February, so about 10 months.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
10 months, 6 months.
but
whatever.
I
I mean
think.
that's a really weird concept. That's a really
Yeah,
weird
it
thing.
might be a test, right?
It might be a test to see them release more of these things. Do we see more stuff where all of a sudden we're getting movies that are R-rated, where they can release your Venom movie that is R-rated, Ryan,
Yeah.
that comes out to the theater maybe after the PG-13
Mhm.
cut happens, or maybe it does. Are we going to start seeing that? And that's a difference in 15 years ago, where it was like, we got to make this comic book movie and hopefully it makes some money, so we need to make it like PG if you can. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say,
This movie, Daredevil, originally was an R rating, and they had to cut back on a lot of stuff because it was like too violent.
Well, and then, I mean, go ahead, Ryan.
no, I was just going to say, and really quickly, we haven't had a PG rated comic book movie
Spider-Man.
since the Fantastic Four.
Edge of
Like-
Spider-Verse is PG.
No, but like,
No, it's not. It's PG-13. 100%
Keep
certain.
talking. I'm gonna look something.
100%
I'm gonna look this
certain.
up.
I mean, I think to that it's even further.
98% certain.
Even further, it's like, if even if that's the case, when was the last live action superhero movie that was PG? When did that come out?
Fantastic Four.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like really? That's a big deal. That's a
Yeah.
really big deal, because are we to pull it into another thing? How often do you see kids playing video games that they really shouldn't be playing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just thinking.
Always.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's when does the fortnight of video of a superhero movie start coming out?
Yeah. And it's interesting. I kind of wanted to mention this because you were talking about, the Deadpool
Edge of
recut.
Spider-Verse is PG.
Huh. All right. I sit corrected. But so as far as kids seeing stuff that's probably a little outside their, maturity level, most of the kids who wanted to see Deadpool and who could not have gone in alone to see Deadpool,
Yeah,
they've already seen it.
probably.
Right. So again, going back to this test of a movie, right? So I'm wondering what new audience does that pull in that you haven't already gotten tickets from?
It's
Right.
it's
In this case specifically,
right, and I think that's why it's a test balloon.
Yeah. I
think
agree.
it's
I agree.
100% a test balloon.
Yeah.
Well, that's the entire reason that Venom was made PG-13. It was always going to be PG-13. Why? Because kids like Venom. I loved Venom when I was 6 years old. 6 years old. I was Spider-Man one year for Halloween. I wanted to be Venom another year or whatnot. I didn't. I went as Spawn instead. Don't know how I got that one pulled off, but whatever.
Good move, Max.
Yeah, but no, yeah, you have to think that kids are gonna want to see your movie. Like, I heard stories of parents taking their kids to see Watchmen, but that was 2009. 'Twas a different time. A different time.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring that up is that there is, I would think that Guardians of the Galaxy is probably one of the more, from a tonal standpoint, kid-friendly superhero movies. Like, it's bombastic,
it's
right? Hey,
space-
it's fun,
space fantasy
we have
and-
raccoons and stuff. But at the same time, those characters are not appropriate for younger children. And the Marvel movies, as they have gone on, have become less and less appropriate for children, whether it's themes or, in a lot of cases, language. There is a decent amount of swearing in most Marvel movies at this point that if you watch the earlier movies, those words would not be used in those situations.
Right. So
Sure.
I wonder if the cadence falls into like a video game cut here, into like a Jack and Daxter situation. Do you grow the maturity of your content as the series ages, because the fans that you created with your earlier releases have grown with your movies.
Right. And
Right.
that's like Harry Potter.
Because all of your original stuff still will be there for your next generation of fans to get hooked into.
You can do that. I get that, but at the same point, like,
It's a balancing act.
kids want to go see movies in the theater. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so do they either start making more movies that are more towards that original tone, or do we see the 20th year anniversary or the 15th year anniversary of Iron Man 1 being re-released into the theater? And restarting stuff. I think there's some interesting places that comic book movies can go, but again, they're not going to change until they stop making money.
Yeah, well, I think it also goes into the discussion of who's the intended audience of the month-to-month comic. Like your main Batman, Justice League, Superman, Iron Man, Captain America titles. Because I can tell you, it is not kids.
No, that is not.
No, it is
Not anymore.
It is has been for the last decade.
Yeah.
15 years at least. Probably even longer. That if you go back to the 90s, I wasn't cognizant of exactly what was going on, but I would probably say for at least 20 years, the intended audience of your month-to-month comic is not your kid. It's not kids. Plus, also, kids can't afford to do that based off how much they cost.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, you also have
and now you have more kid. You have kid titles, which are intended for your younger audiences and stuff like that.
What I'm going to talk about though is when you pull that zeitgeist thing in, though, how many walk down the kids' book aisle right now? There are a bazillion superhero books. All
like
Learn to Read,
little tie-in things. Yeah,
this, all that is all down there. Comic books night might not be for children, but superheroes continue.
The genre itself
continue to have a target audience of children in some of these, in for certain aspects. They're going to pull them in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when I was growing up, Batman the Animated Series was the biggest, hottest thing.
Right.
And then you had other, like, the X-Men cartoon, the Spider-Man cartoon, the Iron Man cartoon, et cetera, ad nauseum. But, yeah. It's a genre that can appeal to many different
and I think that
age groups.
Your comic book reference there is a completely different discussion as to how long comic books survive in the current format of increasing prices with limited distribution.
Yeah, the digital distribution kind of shakes that up in regards to that. I'm not nearly as much into the medium.
I'm not going to get into that
as much as I used to be, but it's it's a tricky thing to really talk about.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is that stores don't see as much of a bump for movies coming out as you think they would.
No, I assume they would not.
But then again, you have more and more stuff appearing in like Target and the giant sections in like Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. So
this is good.
Yeah. So I think it'll be okay.
Any other pins? I had one more pin. I think it's a much smaller pin than the rest of this.
No, I think I covered all the stuff I wanted to. What do you got, Ryan?
No, I just
put
want
that last pin in it.
Hey. I guess you're allowed to put the pin in me since I lost the ratings bet on Spider-Man.
That's okay.
But no, just more about the music soundtrack, specifically the Evanescence song. I wanted to talk about that. And why do you guys think that of all the things in 2003 to have stuck around for 15 fucking years, why is it a song from the Daredevil movie that still is played to this day on the radio? People still know it. Everyone knows this song. Why do you think it was so popular?
I think that song particularly struck a chord with the emo scene that was emerging at the time. So even when I was graduating high school in 2007, there were people who were still like super into that band, or that song specifically, even though it come out at that time, a handful of years before, where certain pop songs didn't nearly have that longevity. And then because of those people then growing up and moving into the different sectors of social media and the evolution of how memes came about, the various ways that was appropriated has kind of given it some legs. It's often like the things you least expect kind of lasting the longest.
So I think part of it, Ryan, is that song is in pop culture. One, it's catchy. It's also relatively unique in the call back and forth between a female and male voice.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going to go, but I'll let you finish your thing.
Rock music does not play particularly well between male and female voices historically.
Nowhere near in comparison to hip hop, because you can think of numerous hip hop songs from that same year or years that had that callback between male and female.
And to Max's point, while emo music and then 2003 really was the beginning of the heyday of pop punk, because a lot of the emo music, I listened to a lot of emo music from like 13 until now, but so it's so with that, but the strong. 2003 is when you started to have a lot of calling back and forth. The Get Up Kids were starting to go away, who began a lot of the calling back and forth between two lead singers. Taking Back Sunday started to hit out. Those kinds of bands started to hit that had two male singers that would call back and forth to each other. This is a female singer and a male singer calling back and forth, and that even in the indie music scene is somewhat rare, but those songs stick around a whole lot. Think about
Arcade Fire, Wake Up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they stick, right? Those stick when they're done well. They really, really, really stick. And I think that for as much fun as people want to make of the Evanescence song, it's musically interesting. It's lyrically interesting between her voice and the difference that he has. She's got this haunting, long syllables that she's taking out. She's singing deeply through the whole thing.
Right.
And he's very harsh,
Quick,
coming
syncopated.
at her. It is a well put together song.
Yeah.
Didn't even touch upon the whole like rise of the Hot Topic around 2003 and whatnot, and the
But I mean,
the legs that gave that. But go back to you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I mean, you're gonna get so many other. Just like you're gonna get so many other bands that come out and have a single hit here or there, or do this or do that. But I mean, I really think a lot of it does stick down to the two different voices that are in there.
Yeah, and I agree, but I also think at least I can speak a little bit from me, but I also when I heard this song and saw the videos and stuff, I was excited because I'm a rock music guy, mostly more than other genres, and just having a rock song that was pretty cool that was a female lead singer was basically unheard of for me at that age. And I was like, oh, this is fucking
then.
I was like, oh, this is really fucking cool.
All the time.
So me being a young male, just having rock music that sounded good but also had a female lead, I was like, oh, I'm into this. Like, I like this. But also from a representation standpoint, for girls having a song this popular with a lead female, just like it's everywhere on the radio for years. That's an important thing, so I can't help but feel that has helped it become so ubiquitous in the way that it has. I don't know.
No, I think that's part of it, and I don't think it's unreasonable to say that there was a dearth of female rock or rock singers for the most of the 90s. I mean, you're gonna get pop music people, right? I mean, you're gonna have
you have to dig deep into like some indie scenes to find that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, you have No Doubt and that kind of stuff, but what you're talking about, Ryan, is you're talking about like heavier, guitar heavy, drum driven rock.
Things that started on rock stations.
Gwen Stefani was off on her own solo career,
and I would say that. Particularly, you listen to a lot of stuff that's much harder than what I listen to or what Max listens to, I think.
Right.
So, but I think that harder genre now has more female voices in it in modern music than it did before.
That may or may not be true, but I think you're right. And when I say may or may not be true, I think as far as how much that female representation happens in that harder rock, that also makes it to the airwaves. It also makes it into the more mainstream stuff.
That's a different. Yeah,
that's a different. Yeah, no, that's completely true. And I think that matter. Your representation point is well taken.
Yeah, like something like again, this is turning into a different podcast, but I don't know how likely the success of a band like Hailstorm right now is without Evanescence having this one song be as popular as it has been for so long. I don't know.
Interesting thing to think about.
But that's all. Yeah. So I mean, for as much hate as that song gets, it's been important.
I don't. It's hard to say if it's hate or if it's just an admiration for the times, because like that's also when like stuff like Napster and LimeWire was all the rage.
Song is trashed, Max.
Yeah, I know it does, but it's it's sometimes hard to tell with shit posting.
Yeah,
and whatever.
Correct.
But such is the way of 2019 and past and futures and such. Well, that wraps up another long post-movie discussion from Good Brews, Bad Views. We've hoped you've had a good time listening to us ramble on about beer, movies, superheroes, music, comic books, books. I think that's all the topics we covered. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Good Brews Bad Views or at GBBV Podcast. Check us out at our website, www.goodbrewsbadviews.com. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, PodBean, and in many other fine sites where podcasts can be found. Please leave us a rating and review. It really helps out in the algorithms, helps more people find our podcast, which would be, frankly, pretty awesome. Yeah. And I think that's about it for today.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys have movie suggestions or beer suggestions,